Chapter 1. A bright moon hung in the sky. There were no clouds in the sky, and the moonlight shone on the brightly lit city. It was autumn, and the heat of the summer had receded. There was an ancient canal in the city center. Although it flowed in the city, it was still crystal clear. There was an independent 3-story building by the river. The words Dikuin Physical Fitness Training Center were engraved in neon lights. The third floor was a large open-air football field. The first floor was a swimming pool, and the second floor was a huge physical strength training field. There was a row of treadmills on the side of the field near the window. The athletes running on the treadmills could see the sparkling river outside from a comfortable angle. In the middle of the field were some fixed strength equipment. There were 2 rows of weightlifting squat racks in the innermost area. Each squat rack was equipped with a weightlifting platform. In the middle of the 2 rows of squat racks was a 3-meter-wide artificial rubber track. In the middle of the rubber track, a truck tire was being rolled by a person. Every roll was accompanied by a loud noise, which made people feel the strong physique of this person. This person had a standard buzz cut, a pair of big eyes on his square face, and a heroic spirit exuded from between his thick black eyebrows. Under his straight nose were 2 hooks, which showed his strong and resolute spirit. His broad pectoralis major, inverted triangular latissimus dorsi, and thick leg muscles all showed a strong sense of strength. This was Lu Kuan, the owner of this physical fitness training center. Lu Kuan's biggest pursuit in life was to train his body to the extreme. Every time he challenged his body's limits, the feeling of being revived from death made him unable to extricate himself. Over the past 10 years, he could feel that his body was constantly transforming. Whether it was muscle strength, muscle endurance, explosive power, or coordination, all of them were constantly improving. From the most basic level, he had reached the level of a world-class athlete. However, Lu Kuan was still not satisfied. He believed that no other animal on Earth had the physical conditions of a human being. For example, in the Great Ironman Triathlon, there was an 8-kilometer swim, a 180-kilometer bike ride, and a kilometer marathon. Other than humans, no other species on Earth could complete this in 14 hours. Boss, are you done with your training? You're the only one here. Today is the first anniversary of the training center's opening. We're all waiting for you to treat us to a big meal. The one who spoke was a little girl with a ponytail. As she spoke, she fiddled with her ponytail and smiled mischievously. She was very cute. You only know how to eat. Don't worry, I've already booked room 3 of the Ace Hot Pot restaurant on the next street. I've also finished practicing. Yeah, long live the boss. We'll go and order now. We won't wait for you. Remember to close the door later. He watched as the little girl happily called her friends to pack up and go out. Lu Kuan shook his head helplessly and walked into the locker room. For him, taking a shower after working out was an incomparably enjoyable thing. It was much more tempting than eating hot pot. As early as when Lu Kuan was in university, his parents had passed away because they were too tired from work. From then on, Lu Kuan was determined to train his body to the extreme, and he wanted to encourage more people to train their bodies. After many years, he finally opened a physical fitness training center at the age of 30. After taking a shower, Lu Kuan entered the physical measurement room and began to measure his body's various indexes. For the past 6 months, he had done this once a month. My muscles have reached a bottleneck, but in the past 6 months, my bone density has been slowly increasing. It seems that with the arduous training day after day, the internal bones have also begun to change. During these body measurements, he suddenly discovered that his bone density was slowly increasing. The obvious external manifestation was that his attack power and resistance were much stronger than before when he practiced boxing. One must know that under the circumstances where muscle strength did not increase by much, the increase in bone density showed a very shocking change in strength. Some people who were born with a higher bone density had much greater explosive power and resistance to attacks than ordinary people. Lu Kuan remembered that when he was 16 years old, he saw an old man use a stone to break a bowl-sized tree trunk while running in the park. At that time, he was stunned. After that, he went up to the old man and talked to him, wanting to learn martial arts. In the end, the old man touched his bones and only said, your aptitude is a bit lacking. Modern society is different from ancient times. Even if you continue to train, your achievements will be extremely limited. There is no need to waste time learning martial arts. Thinking back, the poor aptitude that the old man said should be that the bone density was too small and the bones were too brittle. It was unable to increase the explosive power of force, and it was also unable to withstand the reaction force of the explosive power. If he forced himself to train, it would only injure his bones and joints. Not only would his progress be slow, but it would also be very dangerous. Right now, my so-called aptitude should be enough. Unfortunately, my age is not suitable. Breaking a tree with a stone, with the explosive power transmitted from my muscles, the instantaneous force of my punch is not much weaker than his. It's just that the penetrative power of a point of strength and the strength of a fist are different. The so-called force is nothing more than the cooperation of the muscles and the deeper layers of the muscles to quickly transmit the force. The force produced increases by several times, and then the explosive power is used to shorten the time needed to exert force and increase the penetrative power. I have already begun to train the deeper layers of the muscles. If I slowly strengthen my training, sooner or later, I will surpass the force of a martial artist. I wonder what it will feel like to train my body to the peak of strength. It's a pity that a person can only live for about 100 years. Their body will gradually decline in their later years. Before they become old, they can only train for about 40 years. I am now 30 years old and have already reached the peak of my physical fitness. In the next few years, my progress will not be as fast. Forget it. Let's not think about this anymore. I should hurry up and eat. They should have been waiting for a long time. After talking to himself for a long time, Lu Kuan found that his phone had received several messages urging him to hurry up. He immediately packed up, closed the door, and rushed to the hot pot restaurant. Lu Kuan walked slowly on the street. His mind was still thinking about how to train the deeper layers of the muscles and how to further increase the explosive power. Suddenly, he heard the sound of thunder. When he looked up, he found that many dark clouds had appeared in the sky, blocking the moon. From time to time, a few flashes of lightning would appear. The wind on the street was getting stronger and stronger, causing pain to his face. Strange, the weather was good just now. How can it change so quickly? Looks like I have to go back and get an umbrella. After saying that, he immediately turned around and walked back. At this time, a dark crack appeared beside the street lamp, instantly sucking Lu Kuan, who had just turned around. Chapter 2. Lu Kuan felt like he was in a dream. In the dream, he saw a giant golden ape about 10 feet tall, standing on a small island. The giant ape's whole body was covered in bright golden hair. Explosive red muscles were exposed on its chest, and there was a faint five-colored brilliance flowing on the surface of the muscles. The muscles on its arms were abnormally developed, and its length was close to its height. At a glance, one could tell that its arms were where its strength lay. The two hands at the end of its arms held a giant rod that was dark red, as if it was cast in blood. Its thick legs were slightly bent, and it could erupt with the power to overturn the sea and move mountains at any time. The giant golden ape's face was red, and it was panting heavily. Its eyes were golden, and it stared straight at a giant purple bird in midair. Although the purple bird was only half the size of the ape, it felt much stronger than the giant ape. Its whole body of purple feathers had a metallic luster, and there were faint traces of lightning shuttling between the feathers. The nearby air was slightly distorted by the explosion, like a god of thunder and lightning. Its two claws were black, with a metallic luster, indestructible. Its beak was slightly longer, and the front part was like two sharp daggers, sharp and threatening. Its purple eyes stared at the giant ape. Upon closer inspection, one would find that the two beast bodies were somewhat damaged, as if they had already fought. The two pairs of golden and purple eyes stared at each other for a long time. Suddenly, a golden light shot out of the giant golden ape's eyes, and then its legs rushed into the air. The ground seemed to be crushed, and there were a few whines. The dark red giant rod pressed down on the Thunderbird, and before it fell, The clouds in the sky were scattered by the momentum of the rod. The Thunderbird's reaction was not slow either. It spat out a bolt of lightning to meet the golden light, and its body moved like lightning from the side of the giant rod. With its body as the rod and its beak as a spear, it rushed to the ape's head. Unexpectedly, the golden ape's hands let go of the giant rod, and its body leaned back, using its chest to meet the Thunderbird's sharp beak. The Thunderbird found that its sharp beak could still hit the target, so it sped up and rushed over. At the same time, a large amount of purple and black lightning burst out of its body, directly poking into the giant ape's chest. The moment the sharp beak pierced in, the giant ape's powerful arms closed in the middle and firmly grasped the Thunderbird's body with both hands. The purple-black lightning burned the ape's hands in the blink of an eye. The muscles on the ape's arms bulged, a five-colored halo circulated, and an earth-shattering force was exerted. It was about to tear the purple bird in half. It turned out that the giant ape relied on its rough skin and thick flesh, and did not hesitate to damage itself to catch the lightning bird. When the Thunderbird realized the intentions of the golden ape, it was already unable to escape. Its eyes revealed a trace of determination. Immediately, a black light flashed from its body and rushed into the giant ape's chest from its mouth. Next, the purple bird was torn into two by the golden ape's roar. At the same time, a black light flashed from the golden ape's chest, and a world-destroying power erupted from it. It was as though space itself had been blown apart. Oh yeah, so it really was a dream. It feels so real. This golden ape doesn't look as imposing as the Thunderbird, but it was able to force the Thunderbird into a corner and tear it apart. However, the Thunderbird's attack was too fierce. It directly blew up the space. Recalling the terrible explosion in the dream, Lu Kuan's forehead was covered in cold sweat. Hey, wasn't I on the way to eat? Where's this? Why is there a fire? Vaguely realizing that he was in a forest on fire, Lu Kuan quickly leaned over and rushed out. Fortunately, the area of fire was not large, and it did not take long for him to leave the fire area. It seems that the lightning caused the trees to catch fire. The fire is not big and will not spread. But how did I get here in a dream? I was just touched by the fire, and the pain is real. The sky. How can there be two moons in the sky? Lu Kuan raised his head to look at the two bright moons, one big and one small, between the trees. He was dumbfounded. Only then did he recall the black crack on the street. His lips were a little dry, and it took him a long time to recover. He patted his face to wake himself up. With the help of the light from the fire not far away, he found himself in a forest. Lu Kuan had never seen the trees in this forest before. Each tree was abnormally thick and strong, at least 100 years old. The branches of the trees were similar to pine trees, but the leaves were a little like the leaves of sycamore trees. The soil under his feet was slightly red, and there was a faint slope. There were many unknown shrubs and weeds around him. Lu Kuan felt that he should be in a mountain forest. He listened to the slight sound of the wind from time to time, mixed with the sound of insects and the howling of wolves in the distance. Looking at the unfamiliar surroundings and the two moons in the sky, Lu Kuan knew in his heart that he was most likely no longer on Earth. The black crack had taken him far away from home. Thinking about his original life, his deceased parents, his ex-girlfriend, a shrewish girl who was chasing him, a few members who worked out with him, the girl at the front desk of the training center, and his own team, now all of these were far away from him. Lu Kuan lowered his head to look at his body. He was not injured. His bag and phone were gone, and his clothes were tattered, revealing his strong body. He thought that with his current physical strength, boxing skills, and resistance to attacks, if he encountered the small beasts on Earth in the forest, he could deal with them and barely survive. But if he encountered tigers or wild bears, he would have to use his extraordinary physical strength to play with them. If he could find a town not far away, with his skills, he could still be an ordinary bodyguard. Hey, what's this? Lu Kuan found a circle of red marks under his chest. The red marks were darker in the middle, about 3 inches in diameter. Looking at the outermost circle carefully, he found a few red threads spreading out. The red marks did not seem to be on the surface of the skin, but between the skin and the muscles. When he touched it with his hands, he could not feel any foreign matter, nor did he feel any pain. Could it be a blood clot in my body? That doesn't seem to be the case. There's no discomfort in my chest. I'll check again in 2 days. After that, Lu Kuan ignored the red marks and began to look for a place to spend the night. He did not notice that there was a flash of purple above the red marks, and then it disappeared into his body. Lu Kuan was surrounded by century-old trees. It did not take long for him to find a small tree hole. He pulled out some shrubs and moved them to cover the entrance of the tree hole, preparing to rest in the tree hole for the night. He planned to explore the surrounding area during the day tomorrow. If he was lucky, he might encounter some hunters in the mountains. Thinking about tomorrow's matters, Lu Kuan tightened the ragged clothes on his body and adjusted his breathing rhythm. His body and mind gradually relaxed. Lu Kuan lay down in the tree hole and fell asleep. Chapter 3. The azure sky was as clear as a transparent mirror. Thick white clouds hung on the horizon like a mirror decoration. The sun gradually passed through the white decorations and appeared in the mirror. The bright and beautiful sunlight shone through the sparse charred wood in the forest and sprinkled among the nearby trees, bringing a lot of vitality to the place. Between the branches of the trees, many squirrels began to jump around, and various birds began to fly around, looking for the early worms. A few rays of sunlight shone through the shrubs in the tree hole onto Lu Kuan's resolute square face. His thick black eyebrows trembled slightly, and his eyes slowly opened. If one looked closely, they would discover that there was a trace of golden light flashing in his pupils, as if it was emitting from the depths of his pupils, but also as if it was reflecting a few rays of sunlight. After waking up, Lu Kuan could clearly see that he was in a damp tree hole, and there were shrubs piled up at the entrance of the hole. Since I'm here, I might as well make the best of it. After calming himself down, Lu Kuan prepared to get up and walk around. Last night was relatively dark, and he vaguely felt that he should be in a large mountain forest. Just as he got up, a wild wolf came into view through the gaps in the shrubs at the entrance of the hole. It was crawling behind a patch of wild grass, and its fierce eyes were staring at the tree hole. Its gray fur was distributed among the grass, making it difficult to notice. If Lu Kuan's eyes didn't have a slight change that he didn't notice, it was unlikely that he would have discovered this treacherous beast. After memorizing the wolf's size, position, and posture, Lu Kuan calmly turned his eyes away and naturally got up, as if he didn't see this fierce creature. This was because he knew that if a creature like a wolf targeted you, it would definitely attack you. However, it would attack you when you were least prepared and at your weakest, catching you off guard. If it discovered that you were beginning to be vigilant, it would secretly follow you, observe you, and wait for the moment you relaxed. If it wasn't sure, it would even go back to inform the pack. So if the wolf saw that Lu Kuan was on guard, it wouldn't easily attack. If it scared the wolf away, it might attract the attention of the pack. Whether it was a small pack or a large pack, the current Lu Kuan wouldn't be able to survive if he encountered them. This wolf shouldn't have discovered me for long. Otherwise, the best time for it to attack is when I'm asleep. I have to think of a way to get rid of it as soon as possible. As an entrepreneur who started from scratch and owned a fitness training center in the city center of the financial capital, Lu Kuan had an extremely high ability to adapt. He was decisive in doing things and had strong execution ability. He was never sloppy and had made a decision in the blink of an eye. In the eyes of this wild wolf, humans were a kind of delicious food. When it discovered this delicious food, it was ecstatic. Just as it was about to attack, the human woke up. He shook his head twice and stood up unhurriedly, and then casually pushed aside the bushes at the entrance of the tree hole and slowly walked to a tree not far from it. The distance between the tree and the bushes was just right for the wolf. It could retreat at any time, but at the same time, it could attack at any time. Therefore, it buried its head deeper. Seeing the human standing in front of the tree with his back to it and his hands in front of him, the wolf knew that the human was urinating. In its experience, the moment an animal finished peeing was the moment when it was most relaxed. This was the perfect opportunity. Therefore, the wolf's hind legs trembled excitedly as it repeatedly pressed against the ground. It was ready to pounce at any moment. What it didn't know was that although Lu Kuan's urinating posture was not much different from that of an ordinary person, his shoulders were slightly lowered, his knees were slightly bent, and the muscles in his right leg were tense. Like a compressed spring, he was on the verge of exploding. This was a posture of accumulating power. The sound of flowing water gradually faded. At the moment when it was about to end, the wolf suddenly pounced on Lu Kuan. Its strong hind legs kicked off a pile of soil, and it jumped into the air with its mouth wide open. Its sharp teeth were aimed at Lu Kuan's neck, and its eyes flashed with a bloodthirsty light. It was as if it could bite the throat of its prey in the next moment and eat to its heart's content. At the moment when the wolf jumped out, Lu Kuan moved. He withdrew his hands, withdrew his left foot, turned around, and squatted down. His right hand was clenched into a fist. The first joint of his bent index finger was pressed against his thumb, and the second joint protruded from his fist. His whole fist was like an iron awl. At this time, the wolf was in midair, and the vital part of its abdomen was exposed. Lu Kuan exerted force on his right ankle, twisted his waist, shook his shoulders, and punched directly into the soft white belly of the wolf. After the punch, his left foot shook, and his body retreated. The power of this punch was concentrated on the knuckle of his index finger. In an instant, a huge force erupted. The wolf's eyes bulged, and it let out a miserable howl. Then it hit a tree. Before the wolf could react from the severe pain, Lu Kuan had already picked up a stone from the side and ruthlessly smashed it on the wolf's head. The battle ended in a flash. Lu Kuan looked at the smashed wolf's head beside him, and then looked at his own body. He didn't know if it was an illusion, but the strength he had just used was much greater than before. Otherwise, he wouldn't have been able to finish off the wolf in 2 moves. Perhaps the dangerous situation could stimulate his potential. Fortunately, my sphincter muscles are developed. I can finish the battle in the time it takes to pee. Then Lu Kuan turned around and continued to relieve himself. Lu Kuan planned to hide the wolf in the tree hole first and then explore around. It would be best if he could find a water source like a river or a stream. With a water source, at least he wouldn't starve to death. Maybe he could follow the water source and find a place with human habitation. After dealing with the wolf, Lu Kuan used a sharp stone to mark the tree. He slowly walked down the slope, thinking that if he couldn't find any food or water, he could come back and use the wolf as food. After walking for half a day, Lu Kuan discovered that he was indeed in the middle of a mountain range. Fortunately, he found a river between 2 mountains. Lu Kuan carefully slid down a steep slope, stepped on the cobblestones beside the river, and walked towards the river. The river was very narrow and not deep. The water was so clear that he could see the bottom. If he looked carefully, he could see fish swimming happily in the water. The river and the mountains on both sides formed a small valley. Looking into the distance, the further he went between the 2 mountains, the wider it became. He was now upstream of the river. He saw a few pheasants flying out of the weeds in the valley, and 1 or 2 hares jumping out. There were also some unknown birds flying in the sky. Lu Kuan's mood also relaxed. It's really a paradise on earth. The air is filled with a unique smell. Every breath of air makes me feel comfortable. Chapter 4. In the evening, the sun was setting in the west. Half of the sky was dyed orange-red. The clouds were like ribbons floating in the sky. The sunlight shone on a huge lake. In the distance, the golden river and the mountain stream converged towards the lake, as if weaving a golden silk garment for the lake. This was the scene that made the Golden Silk Lake famous. Not far from the lake, there was an official road. This official road was the only road that led to Huayuan City. On the road, there was a small caravan coming from afar. There were about 50 people in the caravan. Some were riding horses, and some were sitting in carriages. From time to time, a few crisp voices came from the middle carriage. It sounded like the voices of teenage boys and girls. Most of the people in the caravan were guards with straight backs and dressed in martial attire. A small number of them were odd job workers. There were also some hand carts dragging a lot of baggage behind. At the front of the caravan, there was a horse that stood out from the rest. This horse was completely black. It was taller and stronger than the horses around it. Its eyes were full of spirit. Riding on the horse was a middle-aged man in brocade clothes. His face was thin, with thick eyebrows and small eyes. His temples were high, and his eyes were faintly shining. From time to time, he would scan the surroundings. His fingers holding the reins were very thick, and his palms were much thicker than an ordinary person's. At a glance, one could tell that his martial arts were in his hands. His figure was thinner than the guard around him, but he had a valiant aura. "Uncle Yu, haven't we reached Huayuan City yet?" A tender voice came from the front carriage. The curtain was pulled open by a pair of white little hands. The one who spoke was a little girl about 10 years old. Her face was full of baby fat. Under her slender eyebrows were a pair of big, watery eyes, full of spirit. Beside her was a boy who looked very similar. The boy looked 1 or 2 years older than the girl. His face was full of heroic spirit, but his body was much bigger than the girl's. He had a helpless expression on his face. "Sister, didn't I tell you earlier? With the caravan's current speed, it's impossible to reach today. Why bother Uncle Yu?" Before the middle-aged man could reply, the boy spoke first. His tone expressed strong dissatisfaction. "You're only a few years older than me. Who knows if you're right or not? Dad said that I have to listen to Uncle Yu, but he didn't say that I have to listen to you. I don't believe you." The little girl pouted and didn't even look at the boy. "What do you know? Your brother is naturally intelligent. If I don't even know this, how am I going to help Father bring the Iron Fist School to greater heights in the future? You should know that we took nearly 10 days to set off, and there were a few more carriages on the way back. If we still take 10 days to return, wouldn't that mean, seeing that the two little ancestors were about to quarrel again, the middle-aged man shook his head helplessly and gave a few instructions to the guard beside him. She turned around and said to the people in the carriage, "Young master, young miss, it's getting late. The Golden Silk Lake is right in front of us. We can rest at the lakeside for the night. Tomorrow morning, we should be able to reach Huayuan City by noon." After he finished speaking, he didn't care about the even more intense quarrel in the carriage and urged his horse to leave. There were some teenagers in the carriages behind. There were both boys and girls, and all of them looked very smart. When they heard that the middle-aged man told them that they were going to rest at the Golden Silk Lake tonight, they were very excited and chattered nonstop. "Wow, we're at the Golden Silk Lake. I heard from my father that the Golden Silk Lake is the most beautiful lake in our Wei Kingdom. We must take a good look." TSK, who said that the Golden Silk Lake is the most beautiful lake. "My Jade Ripple Lake is. I heard that the fish in the Golden Silk Lake has a very special taste. It's more delicious than the fish in other lakes." Listening to the chatter of these little fellows, the middle-aged man's stiff face revealed a look of reminiscence. "These children are the new blood of our Iron Fist School. Back then, before I joined the school, I also stayed at the Golden Silk Lake for a night. I was even more excited than them. Unfortunately, Senior Brother Zhang is no longer here. Senior Brother grew up in this area and loved to eat the fish in the Golden Silk Lake the most. At that time, when we stayed here, he personally caught many fish and wild game in the mountains to cook for us." When he thought of Senior Brother Zhang, a trace of sadness flashed in his small eyes. "Little Wang, little Chun, find a few brothers who know how to swim and catch more fish in the lake. I think you guys are also hungry." Shaking off the thoughts in his mind, the middle-aged man saw from the corner of his eyes that the two guards beside him were staring at the Golden Silk Lake not far away. Some saliva was dripping from the corners of their mouths. How could the middle-aged man not know what they were thinking? "Elder, you knows us well. We can't wait any longer." The two immediately called out and called for a few guards who were also anxiously looking forward to the lake. This convoy was sent by the Iron Fist School to the surrounding towns to escort the new disciples. The Iron Fist School had many businesses in the surrounding towns of Huayuan City. The person in charge of each business had to find some children with outstanding aptitude. Then, every 10 years, the Iron Fist School would send people to bring these children and youths back to the school. Those with good aptitude would become inner disciples, while those with poor aptitude or were older would become outer disciples. If the recommended children were selected as inner disciples, the person in charge of these businesses would be richly rewarded. With the addition of new blood every 10 years, the Iron Fist School had been able to maintain its position as the #1 sect in Huayuan City for nearly 100 years. The two children who were making a racket in the first carriage were the children of the Iron Fist School's head. The boy's name was Zhao Tian, and he had been tested by the school to have a special constitution that was rumored in the martial arts world. In his hands, all kinds of martial arts could display extraordinary power. All the elders of the Iron Fist School had unanimously decided that he would be the successor of the Iron Fist School. This time, they took a little risk to let him come out and participate in the disciple selection. It could be considered as an experience for him to come out and see the world and expand his knowledge. The little girl beside him was called Sher Chow. Her aptitude was average, and she was not suitable for practicing martial arts. However, everyone in the school loved this little princess very much. Unable to dissuade this young miss, they could only let her come out with them. Fortunately, with the #1 expert of the Iron Fist School, Elder Yu's bodyguard, nothing could go wrong. Not long after, the convoy arrived at Golden Silk Lake. Several bodyguards who were proficient in swimming came out of the water one after another. There were already more than a dozen fat and lively fish by the lakeside. The odd-job workers began to set up camp and start fire to cook. The young boys and girls in the carriages also quickly got off and played by the lakeside. The bodyguards each carried out their duties. Gradually, like a shy young girl, the setting sun hid in the mountains, gilding the mountains with a layer of golden light. The children playing by the lakeside also reluctantly returned to the camp as the sky darkened. The bodyguard, Wang Xiaoping, was the little Wang that Elder Yu had mentioned. He was a round-faced young man in his 20s with a slightly plump build. Chapter 5. Who's there? Wang Xiaoping scolded and quickly stepped forward. Both of them were wearing clothes sewn from animal skin. One of them was an old man with white hair, wrinkles on his forehead and eyes, a red mole on the left side of his dark face. His body was quite strong. His hands were full of calluses, and a hunting knife hung on his waist. Although he was old, his back was still straight. The other one had a square face, thick eyebrows and big eyes, a burly man in his 30s. You are Uncle Zhang, great elder's father? Wang Xiaoping seemed to know this old man. Haha, you must be Elder Yu's bodyguard. I have some impression of you. Is Elder Yu here? The old man looked at the young bodyguard with a smile. It really is Uncle Zhang. Please wait a moment. I'll go inform Elder Yu. Then he hurried back to the camp. Xiao Wang, what's going on? Who are those two people? As an inner force expert, Elder Yu had already seen the two people in the distance, but the light was dim, so he couldn't see their faces clearly. Elder Yu, it's Uncle Zhang. I saw him the last time he came to the sect to retrieve Great Elder's relics. What? It's Senior Brother Zhang's father. I'll go over right now. Elder Yu's legs lightly stepped forward, and his figure floated forward like the wind. One of the two people was Uncle Zhang, and the other was Lu Kuan. The story started half a month ago. That day, Lu Kuan followed the river downstream and found that at the end of the valley, the river formed a giant waterfall more than 10 feet high, making it impossible to go down. Both sides were steep cliffs, so he had no choice but to go back the way he came. Climbing up the steep hill, he walked along the edge of the valley. Lu Kuan didn't expect to have the smell of wolves on his body. He found 3 wolves following behind him. After Lu Kuan killed 2 of them, the last one became very cautious and followed Lu Kuan for several days. Along the way, Lu Kuan kept himself alert when eating, and even when resting on the tree, he was half asleep, afraid that the wolves would take advantage of him. Then the wolf seemed to give up and disappeared. Only one day later, a total of 5 wolves appeared in the distance. The next day, the number of wolves increased to 8, but both sides were afraid of each other and did not attack. When there were 10 wolves, one of them was a white neck and chest wolf. The wolves attacked. At this time, Lu Kuan's mental state and physical strength were at an all-time low. Suddenly, an arrow pierced through the wolf's neck. An old hunter with a bow and arrow on his back and a scimitar in his hand appeared beside Lu Kuan. He was Uncle Zhang. With the death of the alpha wolf, the wolves charged at the two like crazy. Although Uncle Zhang's hair was white, his body was quite strong. His swordsmanship was quite good. His swordsmanship was quite good. His swordsmanship was impenetrable. He restrained most of the wolves and left wounds on them from time to time. Seeing that there was hope, Lu Kuan mustered all his strength. He held 2 stones in his hands and fought with a few wolves in close combat. Before long, all the wolves were dead. Lu Kuan looked at the wounds on his arms, chest, and thighs. He fainted before he could say anything. This young man is unarmed and has no internal strength. With such strange swordsmanship and extraordinary physical strength, he can actually kill a few wolves in this situation. Uncle Zhang looked at Lu Kuan's tattered clothes and wounds. He was shocked. Then, he bandaged Lu Kuan's wounds. The wolf claws were poisonous. If he didn't bandage them with special herbs, he would fall seriously ill. In his sleep, Lu Kuan felt his chest burning. A warm current spread from his chest to every part of his body. It was as if his muscles were on fire. Then, a purple light flashed. His body went numb, and he lost consciousness. Lu Kuan's sleep lasted for an entire day. When he woke up, Lu Kuan saw that he was sleeping on a wooden bed. The old hunter who saved him had just come in. Lu Kuan hurriedly got up and thanked the old man. "I am Lu Kuan. Thank you for saving my life." The old man brought over a bowl of water and said, "Have a good rest. But why are you alone in the Luyang Mountains? You should know that even experienced hunters like us don't dare to go too deep into the mountains." "Uncle, to be honest, I am a villager from the other side of the mountains. I entered the mountains to train my body by fighting with wild beasts. Secondly, I hope to cross the mountains to see the world." Knowing that his origin was too unbelievable, Lu Kuan came up with a reason that seemed reasonable. He also hoped that the old man could guide him into the town, because he knew that there would be more information in a place where people gathered, and it would allow him to fully understand this world. You want to learn martial arts, right? Many hunters like us want to go to the big towns to practice martial arts. Then, we can earn more money and stand out among our peers. The old man seemed to know him very well. He continued to nag at Lu Kuan, which made Lu Kuan stunned. It turned out that Uncle Zhang was the most famous hunter in the nearby villages. His son, Zhang Yang, was an extraordinary person. He had joined a sect called the Iron Fist School in Huayuan City when he was young. He had even become the great elder of the Iron Fist School and stood out among his peers in the big towns. His son wanted to bring him to the city to enjoy life, but the old man refused. So, he came back and taught him some basic martial arts. Although the old man was old and would not achieve much in martial arts, at least it was much easier for him to deal with the wild beasts in the mountains. If the surrounding villagers encountered some ferocious beasts, they would ask Uncle Zhang for help. Unfortunately, not long ago, his son went astray while practicing martial arts and passed away. "Do you want to join the Iron Fist School?" Uncle Zhang suddenly asked Lu Kuan when he mentioned his son's death. Lu Kuan was stunned. He was about to comfort the old man, but when he heard this, he could only say that he did want to learn martial arts and stand out among his peers. Originally, with your age and lack of internal strength, the Iron Fist School would not accept you. I can think of a way to let you in, but you have to promise me one thing. Uncle, you can be considered as Lu Kuan's savior. Even if you don't help me enter the Iron Fist School, I will help you complete it. Then, Uncle Zhang explained his son's situation. Zhang Yang had joined the Iron Fist School 20 years ago. The martial arts he practiced were called the Vajra esoteric art. It was said that after mastering this art, water and fire would not be able to harm him. He would be able to block all kinds of weapons with his bare hands. His strength could even reach over 1,000 jin. It was a pure, physical martial art. According to the Iron Fist School situation in the past 40 years, there were very few people who had mastered this art. Most of them could not even break through the second layer. Even a few of the top geniuses had gone astray when they reached the last layer and exploded. Not even their bones were left behind. Although Zhang Yang had not mastered it, his strength was very great. Every move he made contained great strength. He could be considered the #1 expert in Huayuan City. Unfortunately, the Vajra esoteric art had also happened to Zhang Yang. Uncle Zhang originally thought that his son's death was due to a mistake in his practice, just like the others in the school. However, when he was sorting out his son's belongings, he found a piece of clothing with the special symbol of the mountain hunters. It meant trap, danger, so he felt that there was something fishy about his son's death. Young man, I'm not young anymore. I've lived in the mountains my whole life. I have no way to find out the real cause of my son's death. If you promise me that after entering the Iron Fist School, you will do everything within your power to find out the truth, I can let you enter the Iron Fist School and learn profound martial arts. When Uncle Zhang mentioned his son's situation, his old face could not help but reveal a sorrowful expression. Since you have saved my life, I will definitely help you. Besides, I also want to learn martial arts. Although Lu Kuan felt that this matter was very dangerous, Uncle Zhang was the first person to save him after he came to this world. If he did not repay him, how could he face himself? He had experienced a life of mutual deception in a large company. He believed that he could protect himself in the school. The biggest reason was that the Iron Fist School had martial arts that could temper the body. It could allow his body to continue to improve. You only need to promise. After you enter, there is no need to rush. It is also possible that my son really has gone astray. According to past practice, the Iron Fist School will select disciples in a few days. If we rush over now, we should still be able to make it. Every elder in the school has a quota to recommend a disciple. As the father of an elder, I have the right to recommend a person to become a disciple. Chapter 6. Uncle Zhang, it's really you. What brings you here? Elder Yu was very respectful to the old man, mainly because he was Zhang Yiyang's father. Aside from his inner strength, he had also reached the second stage of the Vajra chant. The Vajra chant was all thanks to Zhang Yiyang's guidance. In addition, Zhang Yiyang had saved his life several times in battles with other sections. The old man pointed at Lu Kuan beside him and said, "This is my distant nephew, Lu Kuan. He was born with great strength and has been fighting with wild beasts in the mountains since he was young. He knows some simple fist techniques and is a talent with great potential. I will use my son's recommendation power to recommend him into the Iron Fist School as a disciple. I see that this brother is not young anymore. He probably hasn't made much progress in martial arts. Elder Zhang, are you sure you want to recommend him?" Elder Yu looked at Lu Kuan and saw that he was a burly man around 30 years old. Looking at his temples, he didn't look like someone who practiced martial arts. "What? My son is the Iron Fist School's great elder. Now that he's dead, can I use his recommendation power? How about this? I won't ask you to make Lu Kuan an inner disciple, but it shouldn't be a problem for him to be an outer disciple. If that's not possible, I'll have to go find sect leader Zhao. There's absolutely no problem for you to use this position. There's no need to find the sect leader. I'll make the decision to accept him as an outer disciple. If he wants to enter the inner sect, he'll have to rely on his own strength in the future." Although bringing such a senior disciple back would inevitably be mocked by the other elders, Elder Yu didn't refuse and directly agreed. "That's good. I'll freeload a meal here tonight. Tomorrow, you guys can go on your way. I'll return to the mountains. Lu Kuan, you'll have to rely on yourself in the future." Uncle Zhang didn't wait for Elder Yu's reply and walked towards the cooking area. Thinking about how Uncle Zhang's son had died while cultivating in the sect, anyone would have a bit of temper. Elder Yu didn't mind and turned to Lu Kuan, saying, "Lu Kuan, I'll bring you to see the Iron Fist School's young master. The school head has requested that every disciple this year must be reviewed by him." "Okay, I'll listen to Elder Yu's instructions," Lu Kuan said respectfully. This was the sect's upper echelon. He had to leave a good impression. Thus, he followed Elder Yu to the carriage. In the middle of the carriage, two children were trying their best to deal with the grilled fish in their hands. They wanted to eat it, but they were afraid that it would be too hot. They had a love-hate expression on their faces. Seeing Elder Yu walk over, the little girl said to him, "Uncle Yu, is there any way to make this turn cold quickly?" The little boy said, "Uncle Yu practices the wind-fire fist, and his inner strength is the raging fire true chi, which will only make it hotter. Our father's cold ice true Qi can easily make him cool down. In a few years, I will be able to practice cold ice true Qi, and then I will be able to do it too. What's so great about cold ice true Qi? The little girl seemed to disdain the so-called cold ice true Qi as she muttered to herself. Young master is right, but I have something to report. This is a new disciple, but he's a bit old, so he can only be an outer sect disciple. Elder Yu pointed at Lu Kuan and said to him. The little boy looked at Lu Kuan's muscles, and his eyes lit up. Good, this uncle looks like a strength type. If he practices an outer sect martial art, even if he starts late, he won't be too bad. Just like the previous great elder, one strength can defeat 10. No matter what opponent he meets, he'll just use his strength to crush them. After he finished speaking, he gestured with his hands as if he was Hercules. Lu Kuan, our young master is right. You are indeed suited to practice martial arts. Outer sect disciples can come in contact with all kinds of outer sect martial arts. Once you officially enter the sect, you can choose one. Now that Elder Yu was observing carefully, he realized that Lu Kuan's body was filled with explosive muscles. He felt a little better. This kind of body had a great advantage in practicing outer sect martial arts, and it was very easy for him to reach the third-rate level. In a while, go find the guard with the 2 roasted fish and ask him to introduce the situation of our Iron Fist sect to you. Elder Yu pointed at Lil Wang and sent Lu Kuan away. Yes, Elder. Lu Kuan didn't say much and walked towards the guard. Brother, how should I address you? I am Lu Kuan, an outer sect disciple who just joined the sect. Elder Yu asked me to ask about our Iron Fist sect. Lu Kuan looked at the guard with a greasy mouth, and the corner of his mouth unconsciously twitched. You're welcome. You can just call me Wang Xiaoping. Come, eat some roasted fish. Let me tell you, the fish in Golden Silk Lake can't be eaten in the city. As long as the fish leave Golden Silk Lake for more than 2 hours, it will lose its unique fragrance. You should know that it takes at least half a day to travel from Huayuan City to here. After that, Lu Kuan and Wang Xiaoping ate fish and chatted, slowly understanding the situation of the Iron Fist sect. The Iron Fist sect had been established for about 100 years. It had always been one of the top powers in Huayuan City. The Iron Fist sect was mainly composed of inner sect disciples, outer sect disciples, and guards. Inner sect disciples could learn some powerful internal skills, while outer sect disciples could only learn some ordinary martial arts. The difference between the two was huge, so the guards could only learn some superficial martial arts. Most of the inner sect disciples were second-rate martial artists, while the outer sect disciples were third-rate martial artists. Most of the guards were ordinary martial artists who knew some moves and were stronger than ordinary people. The Iron Fist sect master was a direct descendant of the sect master's bloodline. It was said that the first sect master had a special physique, and the descendant's bloodline had a certain chance of inheriting this special physique. There was also a corresponding martial art to match it. Among them, the Ice True Qi was one of the martial arts. This generation's sect leader Zhao had already cultivated his Frost True Qi to the transformative realm and was a top-notch expert. The Iron Fist school still had 4 great elders, and the great elder was the late Zhang Yang. He cultivated the Vajra formula, and his strength and moves shocked the martial arts world of Huayuan. The second elder was the Wind Fire Fist Yu Yan, whose attack power was second only to Zhang Yang. The third elder was known as Iron Palm Mo Qing, who had killed countless opponents with his iron palms. The fourth elder was the Lightning Sword Yu Heroine, the only female among the elders. Currently, the 3 elders were the best of the best among the first-rate experts. However, the one that was truly revered by the other powers was the most mysterious Grand Elder. It was said that the Grand Elder was over 100 years old and had lived since the first sect master. Once, when the sect was facing a crisis of extinction, the Grand Elder used all his means to turn the tide. For so many years, everyone in the sect regarded the Grand Elder as an old immortal, the guardian of the Iron Fist sect. However, the Grand Elder was always in seclusion. Apart from the 4 elders and the sect master, no one else had ever seen him. Chapter 7. Luzhou was one of the 4 major prefectures in Wei Kingdom. Most of the area was highland and mountainous. It was said that there were 9 mountains, 1 water, and 1 land. The area had 4 distinct seasons, warm spring winds, and abundant rainfall. Luzhou produced a large amount of herbs and various minerals. Most of the herbs and minerals in Wei Kingdom came from Luzhou. Huayuan City was a small to medium-sized city in the west of Luzhou. There are mountains on both sides of the city. The cities and towns produced a large amount of herbs for treating injuries. Merchants from other places often came to purchase them. The Iron Fist School's main business was these herbs. At noon, on the South Gate Street of Huayuan City, a bluestone road stretched out straight to the South Gate. There were various restaurants, medicine shops, pawn shops, casinos, and so on beside the South Gate Street. The diners by the windows of a few restaurants were pointing at a convoy on the street. It's the second elder of the Iron Fist School, personally leading the team. The number of disciples recruited this time is more than the previous years. When this generation grows up, the Iron Fist School will be even stronger. Can they not recruit more disciples? I heard that some time ago, the great elder of the Iron Fist School died due to a misfire in his cultivation. His strength was greatly reduced. Moreover, the forces of other cities also want to enter our Huayuan city. After all, the herbs for treating injuries are the best in our Huayuan city. That's right. The Iron Fist School only has about 100 inner and outer sect disciples. This time, they recruited nearly 20 people. However, as long as the great elder of the Iron Fist School is still alive, they still have the final say in Huayuan City. Brother, why haven't we heard of this supreme elder before? Can you tell us more about him? No problem. I have a distant cousin who is a guard in the Iron Fist School. I heard that this great elder, the caravan on this street was the group of people from the Iron Fist School who had rushed to Huayuan City from the Golden Silk Lake. In the middle and rear of the caravan, a tall and sturdy man who was looking around was walking side by side with a slightly plump young man with small eyes. They were talking in low voices. Big Brother Lu, have you never been to Huayuan City before? Wang Xiaopeng asked in confusion as he saw Lu Kuan looking around. After spending half a day together, he felt that this Big Brother Lu did not seem like a mountain village hunter. Instead, he felt like a city dweller. Xiaopeng, I used to trade with people in the city, but I've never been to Huayuan City before, Lu Kuan said with a straight face. In just half a day, Lu Kuan and Wang Xiaopeng had become familiar with each other. According to Wang Xiaopeng, he used to be an outer disciple, but due to his gluttony and lack of diligence, his progress in martial arts was too slow. In the end, he was reduced to being a guard. This person was also an optimistic person. He didn't care about what others thought of him. I grew up here. In the future, if Big Brother Lu has any problems in the city, you can look for me. I'm a genuine local tyrant. This street is the most prosperous place in Huayuan City. There are all kinds of shops here. Look, that restaurant over there called Fu Yuan is owned by my family. In the future, Big Brother Lu can bring some of your fellow disciples to take care of the business. Lu Kuan looked at the direction Wang Xiaopeng was pointing at. It was a small 3-story building with a vermilion signboard engraved with the words Fortune Inn. It was currently noon, and the restaurant was quite lively. The first floor was obviously full. Several sets of tables and chairs were placed at the entrance. The second and third floor customers were looking at their group and pointing at them. Although I've been reduced to a guard, at least with the Iron Fist School signboard, no one dares to cause trouble in the restaurant. It turned out that Wang Xiaopeng's parents spent a lot of money to send him to the Iron Fist School for the sake of the school signboard. Big Brother Lu, at the end of the street, just turn the corner and you'll reach the school. Not long after, Lu Kuan saw a magnificent large arched door. On the rock above the arched door, the words Iron Fist Sect were printed in black, with silver hooks and iron strokes. Beside the arched door stood 8 guards in black, their figures swift and fierce. Inside, there was a flight of stairs leading up. Behind the stairs, there were many majestic mansions. Elder Yu was talking to a dark-skinned man. While talking, the dark-skinned man glanced at Lu Kuan. Not long after, Elder Yu led Zhao Tian and Sher Chao inside. The dark-skinned man walked towards everyone and began to call the new disciples to follow him into the school. Seeing Lu Kuan standing in the middle of the group of young boys and girls, the dark-skinned man did not find it strange. It was obvious that Elder Yu had already explained the situation to him. Leading the new disciples into the school, they passed through one building after another. Finally, they came to a small room called the registration room. He said, "My name is Du Yu. I've been an outer disciple for 10 years. You can call me Senior Brother Du now. Each of you will receive 2 sets of clothes and a waist token. Inner disciples line up on the left, outer disciples line up on the right. Go in to receive your items and register. Once you're done, stand at the door and I'll explain the following arrangements." Finished speaking, he walked out. When Lu Kuan walked to the clothes distribution area, the little brother in charge of distributing clothes was surprised to see Lu Kuan's build. He still found 2 sets of the biggest clothes. It seemed that the older disciples would sometimes come to receive new clothes. Next, Lu Kuan received a copper waist token. On it were the 2 ancient characters Lu Kuan. Looking at the characters that were similar to ancient traditional characters, Lu Kuan bitterly smiled. It seemed that he needed to learn these characters. Next was to register his name and place of origin. Lu Kuan's place of origin was written as Hunter of Luyang Mountain. After everyone finished registering, they walked out of the door. Du Yu began to explain the Iron Fist school system for new disciples. New disciples will spend the first half of the year learning how to read and write in the school. Half a year later, the school teacher will test you. If you pass the test, a mark will be placed on your bronze token. Those who pass will enter the martial training hall to learn the basics of martial arts. Similarly, there's also a test for the basics of martial arts. After passing the test, a mark will be placed on your bronze token. If you pass the test, you can enter the martial learning hall to choose the various martial arts of our school. From then on, you must complete 5 intersect missions every year. You will also receive a monthly allowance. Inner disciples receive 50 taels of silver every month, while outer disciples receive 20 taels of silver every month. In our Iron Fist school, strength speaks. Whoever has the highest martial arts will be the senior brother. 5 years later, you will participate in an annual competition to determine the top 5 of the inner and outer disciples. The top 5 of the outer disciples can challenge the inner disciples. If you succeed, you will become an inner disciple. If you fail, you will become an outer disciple. In addition, if you can become the top 5 of the inner disciples, you will be able to spar with the inner elders. As long as you are evenly matched, you will become the new elder. In addition, every time the inner sect competition is held, all the guards can challenge the outer sect disciples. The outer sect disciples who lose will have to obediently become guards. If they become guards, they will only earn 10 silver taels a month. Cherish your first 5 years. That is all I want to say. Now, you can follow the servants to your living quarters. Your bags are already there. After speaking, Senior Brother Du left. Lu Kuan and the other new disciples all lived in the same courtyard before they officially started learning martial arts. According to the servants, they would only move to their new living quarters after they officially started learning martial arts. Fortunately, there were individual rooms here. Otherwise, if Lu Kuan had to live with a group of brats, he would not be able to bear it. After choosing a room that was the furthest in, Lu Kuan began to plan what he needed to do in the future. Chapter 8. In the great hall of a secret house deep within the Iron Fist school, a skinny and ugly old man sat on the main seat. Half of his hair was white, and there were wrinkles on his face. His expression was one of exhaustion. Below the old man was a middle-aged man with a dignified appearance and bronze skin. The man was bowing respectfully to the old man. "Greetings, Grand Elder. May I know what instructions you have for me?" The old man was the Grand Elder of the Iron Fist School, and the middle-aged man was the current schoolmaster, Zhao Yuanji. "No need to be so courteous. I have been studying the hidden dangers of the Vajra esoteric art for the past few years. Fortunately, the heavens do not disappoint those who work hard. Yesterday, I finally succeeded. Inform everyone that the 4th and 5th level of the Vajra esoteric art must be taught by me personally. No one is allowed to cultivate it alone. The old man pressed his temple with one hand and said, Grand Elder, is this true? Schoolmaster Zhao was extremely excited. The Vajra esoteric art was not originally an item of the Iron Fist School. 40 years ago, the Iron Fist School was almost annihilated, and the culprit was a school called the Vajra School. This school was the largest power in the northern Lingua city. The martial artists in this school all practiced external martial arts. The Vajra esoteric art of the Vajra school's master was especially powerful. It purely trained the physical body. The Vajra school's experts completely suppressed the Iron Fist School, and no one was a match for them. In the end, if not for the Grand Elder's heaven-defying methods to eliminate the 5 great experts, the Vajra School would be the one dominating Huayuan City now. After the Grand Elder made his move, the Iron Fist School immediately mobilized their remaining forces to destroy the Vajra School. The Grand Elder also obtained the Vajra esoteric art from the 5 great experts. In the first 20 years, the inner disciples were extremely excited and began to practice this martial art. However, this martial art that purely trained the physical body was very difficult to cultivate. Very few people could reach the 2nd level, and only a few genius disciples could reach the higher levels. However, when they tried to break through to the 5th level, all of them disappeared without a trace in the training room, leaving only some tattered clothes and bits of flesh in the room. This situation happened many times. According to the Grand Elder, the Vajra School might have modified the 4th level's incantation when they were about to be destroyed. The Grand Elder had been researching and trying to solve the hidden dangers. In recent years, only Zhang Yang had cultivated to the 3rd level and above. The others only dared to cultivate to the 2nd level at most. If I had researched it a month earlier, I might have been able to save Zhang Yang's life. Sigh, fate makes fools of people. The old man's expression revealed traces of self-blame, as if he hated himself for not dealing with this hidden danger earlier. Elder, Zhang Yang relied on his talent and insisted on continuing to practice the Vajra esoteric art. You can't be blamed. Let's not talk about the past anymore. Immediately select talented disciples to cultivate the Vajra arts. In the next 5 years, I will personally instruct the disciples who can reach the 3rd layer. I will guide them in their cultivation and strive to help a few more people break through to the 5th layer. In the future, with these disciples in the Iron Fist School, the school will be able to rest easy for the next few decades. After all, I don't have much time left. Ah, Grand Elder, you're already an immortal. How could that be? The middle-aged man turned pale with fright. He had heard from his ancestors that the Grand Elder used immortal methods. I'm already over 90 years old and have lived for a long time. However, I'm still not a true immortal. What's so strange about not having much time left? All right, do as I say. I'll be going into seclusion soon. Unless a disciple reaches the 3rd layer, don't disturb me. You may leave. When he mentioned immortals, a trace of malevolence flashed in the old man's eyes. Not long after the middle-aged man left, the old man walked into a bedroom and pressed a mechanism beside the bed. The wall behind the bed opened. Behind the door was a flight of stairs that led downwards. The pitch-black stairs led to an unknown place. The old man walked down the stairs and lit up an oil lamp. The light illuminated the room. It turned out to be an underground secret room. In this secret room that was about 40 feet square, there was an unusually eye-catching circular blood pool. There were all kinds of strange symbols carved around the blood pool. Among the symbols were 5 crystal stones of different colors evenly placed. These stones glowed with a halo. Vaguely, there were traces of a halo that converged towards the blood pool in the middle through the symbols. The blood in the blood pool was still rolling. In the corner of the secret room, there was a strong giant lying on the ground. His face was deathly pale, but one could vaguely see that he was a man with a jade-like complexion. There was a red mole on the left side of his pale face. The slight rise and fall of his chest indicated that he was not dead yet. He was just unconscious. I didn't expect this Zhang Yang to be a genius among mortals. Not only did he cultivate the 5th layer of the Vajra esoteric art, he also discovered the trick I did to him. Otherwise, when he broke through the 5th layer, that trace of magic power would have knocked him out. I could have easily brought him here. He should have already suspected the situation of those people before. If he had cultivated all 7 layers of the Vajra esoteric art, I would have been in a bit of trouble. Facing a simple defensive barrier, his cultivation would definitely not be able to break it. The old man looked at the figure in the corner and muttered to himself. Back then, in my anger, I tortured these experts of the Vajra esoteric art and sacrificed them. By chance, I discovered that the blood essence of mortals who cultivated the Vajra esoteric art after the 5th layer was even stronger than that of ordinary chi refining cultivators. This way, as long as I accumulated enough blood essence, I could use the blood sacrifice foundation building technique. Otherwise, with my aptitude, even if I had the foundation building pill, my chances of reaching the foundation building realm would be slim. It turned out that in the battle 40 years ago, the old man's defensive spell was actually broken by the combined attacks of several experts of the Vajra esoteric art and injured him. As a cultivator, being injured by a mortal was a great humiliation. The old man angrily tortured his soul and finally used the blood sacrifice method to refine his body into blood essence. In order to use the blood sacrifice method, one had to have the magic power of a foundation-building realm cultivator. This old man was also a genius, and after his modification, he could succeed as long as the strength of the soul was lowered. After he finished speaking, the old man stood up and walked to the corner of the wall. He muttered an incantation, and the skinny old man's body seemed to fill up a bit. His strength greatly increased, and he easily lifted the large man and threw him into the blood pool. Then he sat cross-legged in front of the blood pool. His body flashed with an earthy yellow light, and it slowly floated towards the strange symbols around the blood pool. After more than half a day, the corpse in the blood pool had already disappeared, and the blood in the blood pool had become a bit thicker. After finishing the blood sacrifice method, the old man's face was pale, as if he had aged a few years. He immediately took out a stone that was suffused with an earthy yellow light and sat cross-legged. After a few hours, his complexion improved a lot. The old man slowly opened his eyes and muttered to himself, "The blood sacrifice foundation building technique is used by foundation building realm cultivators. Moreover, the target of the blood sacrifice method must also be a foundation building realm cultivator. Only then can the recipient successfully reach the foundation building realm through the powerful blood essence." Chapter 9. Today, I can finally start going to the martial training hall. Lu Kuan felt like he had returned to his student days, reading and writing every day. If it weren't for the fact that he had some free time to drink with Wang Xiaopeng and stroll around Huayuan City, he wouldn't have been able to stand it. During this time, Lu Kuan had become familiar with these youths. They all called him Senior Brother Lu. Most of them were children from the surrounding villages and were more or less related to the stewards of some of the Iron Fist School's businesses. After they moved in, a few more children who grew up in Huayuan City came. Their parents paid a high price for them to become outer sect disciples. These you'd stayed in this unfamiliar place for half a year. There was a big brother who would encourage them from time to time and tell them stories, making them very happy. Moreover, every night, Lu Kuan would teach them some so-called secret techniques during their training. In this half a year, they could clearly feel that their bodies were much better than before. Many of them had grown taller. They were even more grateful to Lu Kuan. In their hearts, training secret techniques were the most precious thing. Senior Brother Lu, I didn't think that we would all pass this time. I heard from the guards that every year there would be a few disciples who fail. The one who spoke was a youth named Pai Sheng. He was the tallest among the group of youths, and his face was brimming with a happy smile. "Xiaopi, that's because you are all very smart." Looking at his squinted eyes, Lu Kuan couldn't help but laugh. It's all thanks to Senior Brother Lu's tutoring. Otherwise, I definitely wouldn't have passed. Studying was indeed difficult for someone like Xiaopi, who had a hard time calming down. If it wasn't for Lu Kuan teaching him a few rote memorization methods before the exam, he wouldn't know what to do. Lu Kuan had his own reasons for helping these youths. In the future, when this group of disciples matured, they would become the backbone of the school. Moreover, he needed their help in investigating Zhang Yang. During this period of time, Lu Kuan had already figured out most of the Iron Fist school situation. Including them, there were a total of more than 140 disciples in the sect. There were a total of more than 300 guards, and the rest were just odd job workers. In this small city, the Iron Fist school strength was enough to dominate. The official disciples of the Iron Fist school all lived in the western courtyard of the school. These people were either cultivating in seclusion or carrying out school missions outside. There were many stewards in the school. These people were former inner sect disciples. In this half a year, Lu Kuan had also become familiar with some people, and they all knew that there was such an old outer sect disciple. The one who spoke was a young man with a protruding mouth and monkey-like cheeks. He was slightly shorter than Lu Kuan and was just passing by. Because Lu Kuan had yet to participate in the competition, the official disciples could call him Junior Brother Lu Kuan. This young man had once suffered at the hands of Lu Kuan. Seeing Lu Kuan talking and laughing, he mocked him. I was wondering who it was. So it's Senior Brother Li. Senior Brother Li is an old outer sect disciple. Which word can you not read? Which word can you not write? Which word do you need to come to this school to learn again? Lu Kuan heard Li's mockery and mercilessly returned it. This young man was called Li Huafei. Once, Lu Kuan and Wang Xiaoping met him while strolling in Huayuan City. Li Huafei mocked Wang Xiaoping. The two sides got into an argument and couldn't help but come to blows. Li Huafei thought Lu Kuan had never practiced martial arts and only had brute strength. Therefore, he let his guard down. Who knew that Lu Kuan's reaction speed exceeded his imagination? In a narrow space, Lu Kuan dodged several of his attacks and easily defeated a third-rate martial artist. In the end, Li Huafei, an outer sect disciple, had no choice but to apologize. Surnamed Lu, don't be arrogant. Isn't it just a bit more strength? Senior Brother Qian of the Martial Arts Hall is famous for being strict. At your age, I'm afraid you can't even learn the basics. Hearing the laughter of the surrounding youths, the young man angrily said. Ignoring the ugly expression on Li Huafei's face, Lu Kuan led the other disciples to the Martial Arts Hall on the east side of the Iron Fist School. With Lu Kuan's experience, he knew that Li Huafei should have come for him that day. Feeling somewhat puzzled, he asked Wang Xiaoping and found out that not long after they entered the school, the sect master announced that the Grand Elder had solved the hidden danger of the Vajra arts. A group of disciples would be selected to cultivate it. Moreover, those who reached the third layer within 5 years would be personally guided by the Grand Elder. As long as a disciple reached the fourth layer, they would be directly promoted to Elder. Looking at Lu Kuan's body, it was very likely that he would be selected to cultivate the Vajra arts. Lu Kuan also knew of the Senior Brother Qian that Li Huafei spoke of. He was the second strongest inner sect disciple. It was said that he was about to enter the ranks of first-rate experts. Lu Kuan wondered if this Senior Brother Qian had any enmity towards him. It didn't take long for them to reach the Martial Arts Hall. In addition to the new disciples who needed to come to the Martial Arts Hall to practice their basic skills, some of the older disciples would also come here every month. This was because the sect elders would answer some cultivation questions for the disciples in the Martial Arts Hall every month. In this Martial Arts Hall, other than the innermost hall and the mechanism room, the rest of the place was a huge square. There were all kinds of training props in the square. There were humanoid puppets, bows and arrows, stone piers of various weights, plum blossom stakes, coarse hemp rope, and some strange wooden machines. When Lu Kuan and the others arrived, there was already an expressionless man standing in the middle of the square. This man had a square face, his temples were bulging, and his eyes were shining. He had broad shoulders and a round waist, and he held a black leather whip in his hand. It was Senior Brother Qian. My name is Qian Ming. You can call me second Senior Brother. From today onwards, you will follow me in basic martial arts training. Don't look down on basic skills. In the future, whether your martial arts moves are good or bad will depend on your basic skills. Even if your internal strength is higher than others, if your moves are too weak, you still won't be able to defeat your opponent. When talking about basic skills, Senior Brother Qian looked deeply at Lu Kuan. When Lu Kuan taught Li Huafei a lesson, he was not far away. From his perspective, he could see that Lu Kuan's basic skills were much stronger than Li Huafei's. Coupled with his strange fist technique, Lu Kuan easily defeated Li Huafei, who had underestimated his opponent. Everyone will be divided into 2 rows according to their height. The taller ones will stand at the back. In a while, if anyone doesn't keep up with the training, I will directly punish them. Now, let's start the training. As he spoke, he shook the whip, making a crisp sound, causing all the disciples' faces to turn pale. The first training was physical training. They had to run 20 laps around the square. The square was very large. 1 lap was about half a li, and 20 laps was 10 li. These youths had suffered a lot. These people were also in good health. Although they were panting, they still managed to finish running. The second training was climbing. There was a high wall at the side of the square. It was about 10 zhang high, and there was a rope at the top. Everyone needed to climb up and down 3 times. The third training was next to a dry well. Although it was called a dry well, it was just a small round hole with a rope sticking out of it. Using the rope to pull up a 50-pound stone block in the dry well, everyone had to do 5 laps. Lu Kuan found that these training sessions were all to strengthen one's endurance, explosive power, physical strength, and nerve reaction speed. To him, it was as simple as drinking water. Most of the new disciples had learned some training techniques from Lu Kuan, and they all persevered. Chapter 10. Everyone is trained well today. As a reward, you can rest for half a day tomorrow and start training again in the afternoon. This wasn't a reward from Senior Brother Qian, but a rule of the sect. The sect didn't want the basic training to bring hidden injuries to the disciples. The exhausted disciples all shouted, "Long live Senior Brother Qian!" Senior Brother Qian's words today made them feel happy. "Let's all go eat. Junior Martial Brother Lu, come here for a moment. Senior Martial Brother Qian has a few words with you." Looking at the slightly surprised Lu Kuan, Senior Martial Brother Qian smiled at him and walked to the side. What instructions does Senior Brother Qian have? Lu Kuan was a little nervous. He could feel that he was definitely not Senior Brother Qian's opponent. This was his intuition from when he used to practice boxing. "Lu Shitty, this training isn't necessary for you. I've heard that Junior Brother's body has a solid foundation. Today, I've seen that you live up to your reputation. If Junior Brother is interested, why don't you take the test tomorrow? You should know that the earlier you take the test, the earlier you can learn the cultivation technique." "Senior Brother Qian, you flatter me. I just often fight with wild beasts in the mountains. How can I compare to martial artists like Senior Brothers?" Lu Kuan was very modest in the face of Senior Brother Qian's praise. "You don't have to be modest. This basic training was actually arranged by sect leader Zhao. I'm sure Junior Brother has heard about the Grand Elder selection of disciples for the Vajra esoteric art. This test is also to select disciples suitable for the Vajra esoteric art. You don't have to have any other thoughts. My wind and fire universe technique has already begun to mature, so I won't cultivate the Vajra esoteric art." Qian Ming saw that Lu Kuan's expression was strange and knew that he had misgivings. "Since Senior Brother has said so, then I'll take the test. I wonder what the test is about. Can Senior Brother tell me?" Lu Kuan was very interested in the Vajra esoteric art, which specialized in cultivating the physical body. He didn't expect that as an outer disciple, he would be able to learn this cultivation technique. Moreover, the Vajra esoteric art was related to Zhang Yiyang's death. "Junior Brother, don't worry. There will be time to prepare before the test tomorrow." Senior Brother Qian finished speaking and left. Lu Kuan slowly walked back to his residence. He was still thinking about what kind of test there would be. According to the training objective, it would be nothing more than a test on these few elements. These were all my strong points, so I had to pass them. This way, not only could he learn the Vajra esoteric art and temper his body, he could also ask Zhang Yang about it. The next day, Lu Kuan arrived at the martial arts hall early in the morning. Not long after, senior brother Qian arrived as well. Junior brother Lu, you're really early. It seems like you're ready. Let me introduce you to the content of the assessment. Senior brother Qian went straight to the point. Then I'll have to trouble senior brother Qian. There are a total of 5 tests. The first one is the physical strength test. Although we martial artists have long meridians, innate physical strength is still very important. The first test is to run 50 laps around the martial training square in half an hour. That is to say, you have to run 25 li in half an hour. When junior apprentice brother Lu completes this physical strength test, I will tell you about the second test. Then, senior apprentice brother Qian sent someone to bring over an hourglass. Lu Kuan estimated his previous pace and felt that there was no problem. When senior brother Qian started the timer, he started running with a relaxed expression. When the hour was almost up, Lu Kuan also finished running. Lu Shitty, the first test is really not difficult for you. Senior brother Qian looked at the relaxed Lu Kuan and was quite surprised. This year's test had been strengthened by the sect master's request. The first test, physical strength, had an additional 10 laps. These 10 laps were not to be underestimated. Many outer sect disciples would not be able to complete it. Senior brother, I was chased by a pack of wolves in the mountains. If my physical strength was not enough, I would have died long ago. Lu Kuan explained to senior brother Qian while gasping for breath. Junior brother, rest while listening to me talk about the next test. The next test is explosive power. Look over there, there's a stone block with a wooden handle. It weighs about 150 kilograms. You have to lift it above your head 5 times in 10 breaths. The reason why you have such a short time is to test your explosive power. Junior brother can tell me when you're done resting. Not long after, Lu Kuan walked towards the stone block. The moment he grabbed the handle, his body seemed to jump as he lifted the stone block to his chest. The moment the stone block was in front of his chest, he squatted down and raised his hands, using inertia to lift it above his head. Immediately after, he stood up. This series of actions was completed in just one breath. Lu Kuan did not rest at all. He completed the entire series of actions 5 times in a row, using a total of 6 breaths of time. Lu Shitty, have you practiced this before? You did it so smoothly. Senior brother Qian was extremely surprised when he saw that Lu Kuan did not even pant and completed it so quickly. It had to be known that when normal disciples performed this action, they would have to hold their breath to barely complete it. Moreover, the weight was only 150 kilograms. Lu Kuan's smooth action seemed to be more effortless and efficient than theirs. Senior brother, didn't you say explosive power? So my body naturally did this. Senior brother, tell me about the next test. I'm going to rest. Lu Kuan felt a little tired after completing this. All right, the third test is strength. In the dry well over there, there is a 250-kilogram stone block. You just have to pull it up with a rope. There is no time limit for this test, but if the stone block falls once, it will be considered a failure. Understood, senior brother. When Lu Kuan heard this strength-based test, a trace of excitement appeared in his eyes. This was his forte. Moreover, after coming to this world, Lu Kuan felt that his strength had increased. It was a good opportunity for him to test it out. Lu Kuan slowly walked to the round hole called the dry well. He took off his shirt, revealing his firm muscles. He stood with his legs wide open, squatted down slightly, and grabbed the rope with both hands. With a loud roar, he lifted the heavy object and slowly pulled it up, alternating between left and right. His expression seemed to be rather strenuous. Not long after, the stone block was pulled up. Then, Lu Kuan immediately panted and lay on the ground. Seeing that Lu Kuan had finally collapsed from exhaustion, senior brother Qian didn't know why, but he heaved a sigh of relief. Lu Kuan lay on the ground. In fact, his heart wasn't calm. This was the easiest test for him. When he was on Earth, it was very difficult for him to pull a 250-kilogram weight. This meant that after coming to this world, his body's strength had increased. After waiting for Lu Kuan to rest enough, senior brother Qian said to Lu Kuan and led Lu Kuan to the room. Junior brother, the fourth test is a reaction speed test. You have to quickly react to the enemy's moves. It will be conducted in the mechanical room next door. There are 2 doors in this room. One is the entrance, and the other is the exit. We are now at the entrance. Your task is to walk out of the exit without being attacked by anything. Let me remind you, with every step you take, the walls on all sides will randomly eject wooden balls. The moment you walk in, the mechanism will be activated. You can go in directly when you're ready. Perhaps senior brother Chien was a little unwilling, but he was careful. In this test, one only needed to be hit 5 times to pass. Seeing that there was a distance of 300 feet between the inside and the exit, he had to walk at least 100 steps. Lu Kuan took a deep breath and walked in. When he took the first step, a ball shot out from both sides. Lu Kuan instantly dodged forward, and with this dodge, he took another step forward. A ball shot out from the front, forcing Lu Kuan to dodge to the side. With this dodge, a few more balls shot out. When he took the next step, a golden light suddenly flashed in Lu Kuan's eyes. He quickly walked forward. Every time a ball was shot out, Lu Kuan seemed to know which direction it came from. He turned left, went forward, turned right, and retreated. It was as if he knew the order of the balls. Not long after, he reached the exit. Seeing that Lu Kuan really passed without any injuries, senior brother Chien was even more surprised than in the previous tests. This was a test that purely relied on one's eyesight and spiritual sense. Only a second-rate expert like him could barely do it. Lu Kuan also felt that it was strange. He originally thought that he would be hit a few times, but who knew that when he took the 4th step, his eyesight would suddenly become very sharp. As soon as the ball appeared from the wall, he saw it and quickly reacted to it. His body reacted accordingly. Chapter 11. In the middle of the Iron Fist School's building, there was a magnificent meeting hall. Inside, Sect Leader Zhao and Elder Yu were talking. Sect Leader Zhao said, "Junior brother Yu, I heard that the 30-year-old disciple you brought passed our strength and assessment. Who is this disciple? I only heard you say that he was recommended by Uncle Zhang. Has he really never practiced martial arts? I didn't tell you in detail at the time, but this person is said to be a hunter from a mountain village near Luyang Mountain. He has been catching all kinds of wild beasts in the mountains. He was even chased by a pack of wild wolves for several days. As for his martial arts, how could I not see it with my eyes? Although his steps are steady and his qi and blood are vigorous, there is no internal energy in his body. Even if it is some external martial arts, there will be internal energy circulating in the body. I didn't expect his foundation to be so solid. Later, senior brother sect leader can check it out," Elder Yu replied. Back then, wasn't Zhang Yang also a hunter in the mountains? His foundation is also quite solid. It seems that there is one more person practicing the Vajra esoteric art. With each additional person, our sect will have more strength in the future. Junior brother Yu, you have the deepest understanding of the Vajra esoteric art in the sect. I'll have to trouble you with these disciples. Sect leader Zhao thought that only Elder Yu, who had reached the 2nd level, could guide the new disciples. It's not troublesome for me, but is Grand Elder really? Elder Yu looked worried. Be careful with your words. We cannot discuss Grand Elder's matters. He is very resourceful. This is for the sake of the sect's future. They're coming. Sect leader Zhao's ears twitched when he heard footsteps outside the hall. He immediately shut his mouth. Disciple Qianming, Lu Kuan, greets sect leader and Elder Yu. Senior brother Qian and Lu Kuan entered the hall and bowed to the two. Qianming, continue training the disciples. Elder Yu and I will take care of Lu Kuan, sect leader Zhao said to Qianming. Disciple obeys. After Qianming left, the sect leader walked to Lu Kuan's side and placed his hand on his shoulder. Sect master Yu. Lu Kuan was just about to speak when he felt a bone-chilling cold coming from the sect master's hand. It was as if his entire shoulder was soaked in ice. Gradually, this cold current flowed through his entire body, slowly returning to his shoulder and then disappearing. At this time, Lu Kuan felt the terrifying power of internal energy. No matter how powerful his physical body was, It could not withstand the sect leader's cold internal energy palm. Don't be afraid. I'm just sensing your body's condition. Your meridians have indeed already formed, so it's difficult to cultivate inner strength. Your body is strong, and your chi and blood are abundant. I also heard from Qian Ming that you didn't get hit even once in the mechanical room. It can be seen that your spiritual sense is outstanding, and your aptitude for cultivating the Vajra arts is very good. The sect leader explained when he saw a trace of uneasiness in Lu Kuan's eyes. Reporting to sect master, this disciple grew up in the mountains and trained with wild beasts. Lu Kuan continued to talk about fighting with wild beasts, subconsciously trying to hide the changes in his eyes. In order to ensure progress, new disciples who cultivate the Vajra arts will go to the specialized Vajra courtyard to cultivate. Moreover, Elder Yu will also share his experience with you. After so many years, he has already entered the second stage of the Vajra arts. Moreover, he has communicated with the great elder before. It can be said that he is currently the person who understands this technique the most in the sect besides the grand elder. Sect master Zhao sighed in his heart. If Zhang Yang was still here, these disciples would probably be taught even faster. Junior brother Yu, I'll have to trouble you. Senior brother sect master is too polite. It's all for the Iron Fist school. If there's nothing else, I'll bring Lu Kuan down first. Seeing the sect leader nod his head, Elder Yu brought Lu Kuan out. It's a pity that Tian Er's physique is suitable for cultivating an internal technique like the Frost True Chi. He didn't have the chance to receive the Grand Elder's guidance. Putting aside sect master Zhao's pity, Lu Kuan followed behind Elder Yu with an excited expression. They walked to the northernmost courtyard of the sect, which was about 100 zhang long and 40 zhang wide. In the middle of the courtyard, there was a small square about 10 zhang long and wide. There were various stone pillars on it, and 2 people were using the stone pillars to cultivate. Surrounding the small square were 4 stone houses. One of the stone houses had black smoke rising from the roof, as if something was burning inside. These were the things that the Iron Fist School had rushed out in the past half a year, according to Elder Yu's instructions. They were all beneficial for cultivating the Vajra arts. Following that, Elder Yu brought Lu Kuan to the west side of the Vajra courtyard. There were about 20 stone houses here, each of which was not big. After letting Lu Kuan choose a place to stay, Elder Yu threw him a secret manual with the words Vajra arts written on it. He also instructed Lu Kuan to memorize it within half a month. During this time, he was not allowed to leave the courtyard. Servants would take care of his meals and drinks. After half a month, no matter how much Lu Kuan remembered, the secret manual would be taken back. At that time, Elder Yu would come and explain it to him. Lu Kuan looked around the small stone house. There were only simple tables, chairs, and beds. It was like a prison. He smiled bitterly and began to flip open the secret manual. Not long after, he was captivated by the contents. He read it for an entire day. It turned out that this Vajra arts talked about strengthening one's physical strength, muscle density, chi and blood, and then bones through the polishing of the physical body. After mastering the first few levels, each move would be able to explode with a huge force of nearly 1,000 gene. One had to know that a person could pull or lift 1,000 gene object, but it didn't mean that he could reach the same strength with a single punch. In the past, in Lu Kuan's world, the most powerful boxers measured a punch of nearly 1,000 gene. However, this was a process of accumulating strength. If the strength of the punch was calculated based on the moment of contact with the opponent, the strength of each punch of these top-notch boxers was at most 500 gene. In addition to strength, the Vajra arts also cultivated a strange internal energy that circulated in the physical body instead of the meridians. This internal energy couldn't be used to attack, but it could strengthen the strength of the muscles and enhance the physical defense. After mastering it, the physical body could also resist the cold and heat. It could even prevent one from being burned to death in a short period of time. It was truly incredible. Lu Kuan had received all kinds of physiological and anatomical education in the modern world, so he understood the structure of the body very well. It was easy for him to understand the main points of this book. The foundation of this martial art was the first level. It taught people to slowly control the various subdivisions of the muscles in the body, thereby increasing their strength. Unless one was born with a strong spiritual sense, the average person would need more than 10 years of grinding to achieve this. After mastering the first level, the second level was to develop a unique internal energy based on this foundation. It was called the breath of life in the martial art. The next few levels were to let this breath of life strengthen the muscles and stimulate the growth of the physical body. Gradually, it would affect the bones and blood. The description of this breath of life in the book was relatively mild. The amount of breath of life in the later stages was also very small. This was because after a period of time, the breath of life would slowly dissipate when it was not used. It was as if the human body couldn't retain it and could only stay for a short period of time. Chapter 12. After half a month of seclusion, Lu Kuan had already memorized the technique. During this time, he tried to move his muscles according to the technique. He could barely move his outer muscles, and this was the result of many years of fitness. He couldn't even feel the inner muscles. It should be because he had never really trained in depth before. It seems that the first layer isn't that easy. According to the Vajra esoteric art, only when he can control the inner muscles can he be considered to have entered the first layer. It's time to go out and take a look. The rooms in the middle seem to be used for cultivation. I didn't go in to take a look when I first arrived. Thus, Lu Kuan walked out of the stone house and walked towards the training field. This junior brother must be Lu Shidi. I am Chao Yinchi. I just came back from a mission and was dragged here by the elders to cultivate. I live next door to junior brother. Lu Shidi, if you don't mind, let's take a look at this courtyard. It is said that it was specially built for us. Once we memorize the Vajra esoteric art, Elder you will come and teach us. A chubby youth with a square head and big ears walked out from the stone house next door with a book in his hand. Oh, so it's senior brother Chao. I've been reciting the Vajra scripture in my room. Today, I just happened to want to take a look at this square. Lu Kuan looked at the figure that was twice as big as Wang Xiaoping and felt a little curious. Haha, Lu Shidi, there is no need to be surprised. I used to cultivate the sex iron armor technique. This technique specializes in the defense of the body. My fat can make my defense even stronger. Sigh, every time there are some difficult missions, the sect will send me out as a meat shield. Moreover, they know that my fat body is a big hindrance to my Vajra esoteric art, yet they still sent me here. I really don't know what they are thinking. Chao Yinchi looked at Lu Kuan's strange expression and explained. When he was dragged here to cultivate, his face was full of helplessness. Sect Master should have his own ideas. Let's not talk anymore and go to the field. Seeing that this chubby senior brother was about to complain, Lu Kuan quickly changed the topic. Wait a moment, I'll put the book down. After saying that, he turned around and entered the house. Lu Kuan vaguely saw that the title of the book was Palace Map from the corner of his eye. His mouth twitched. After Chao Yunchi came out, Lu Kuan began to ask about the other disciples. Senior apprentice brother Chao, you have to tell me more about the other disciples living here. I haven't been in the sect for long, so I don't know many disciples. Junior brother, you've asked the right question. Your senior brother has carried out many missions, so I know all the disciples in the sect. These people are from the first batch, and there will be more disciples coming one after another. You must know that within the sect, the most suitable ones to practice the Vajra arts are either the iron armor technique or the dragon form technique. As for these people, hey look, that big bald head in the middle is Zhang Tianbiao. As he walked, he saw a disciple holding a stone block in the middle. This person was 9 feet tall, and his body looked much stronger than Lu Kuan's. He was like a small giant. Even from a distance, one could see that his thick hands were covered in calluses, as if they were covered in a scaly shell. This is Zhang Tianbiao, senior apprentice brother Zhang. He took 3rd place in the last inner disciple competition and is already a top second-rate expert. He cultivates the dragon form technique, and his strength is extraordinary. Other than senior apprentice brother Wa, he has the highest chance of mastering the Vajra arts in a short time. Chao Yunqi looked at Zhang Tianbiao, his tone filled with hatred, as if he had a grudge against him. At this time, from the house that was emitting black smoke, a dark-skinned, ordinary-looking youth walked out. His body was no different from an ordinary person's. This is Senior Apprentice Brother Guo Buotao. Like me, he cultivates the iron armor technique. If I didn't have this fat body, my defense would be much worse than Senior Apprentice Brother's. He has already practiced this technique to a very high level. Ordinary swords and sabers can't easily break through his defense. Senior Apprentice Brother Guo and I have a good relationship, so I'll introduce you to him. Finished speaking, he walked towards the youth. Brother Tao, have you finished practicing? Let me introduce you. This is Lu Kuan, a new disciple from the last batch. Hello, Senior Apprentice Brother Guo. So you're Lu Shitty. I heard that Junior Apprentice Brother's body is very strong. Today I see that you live up to your reputation. Only that bald head is bigger than you. Guo Buotao looked at Lu Kuan with a smile on his face. Guo Buotao, who are you calling a bald head? Zhang Tianbiao, who was in the middle, seemed to be very sensitive to the word bald head. He immediately put down the stone block in his hand and walked over. Brother Tao, of course I'm talking about you. Why don't you fight? Although I, Fatty Chow, can't beat you if I go all out, I'll make you half dead from exhaustion. Before Guo Buotao could speak, Chao Yunqi answered first. Fatty Chow, I'm not talking to you. Guo Buotao, do you want to fight with me again? I heard that you've improved a lot in the past 6 months. The bald man didn't even look at Chao Yunqi. He stared at Guo Buotao, full of fighting spirit. Guo Buotao pulled back Chao Yunqi, who wanted to continue speaking, and said to the bald man, no problem. I lost you last time because I was careless. Make your move. After Guo Buotao finished speaking, he took a step forward and assumed a defensive posture. Disciples like them who practice defensive martial arts would usually look for an opportunity to attack after the other person made a move. Zhang Tianbiao didn't hold back. He kicked his legs and rushed forward. A heavy fist went straight for Guo Buotao's chest. Guo Buotao didn't seem to care. It looked like he wanted to use his chest to take the blow. Who would have thought that Zhang Tianbiao would suddenly change his moves? He squatted down and punched Guo Buotao's abdomen continuously with both hands. Then, with a loud roar, his body seemed to have grown bigger. His thicker arms with calluses punched Guo Buotao's chin. Guo Buotao didn't dodge. He only used his arms to block in front of his chin. With a bang, Guo Buotao was forced back a few steps. He chuckled. Baldy, we haven't fought for a long time. How come your strength has weakened? Impossible. How can you take the full blow on my dragon former head-on? Zhang Tianbiao seemed to be very surprised that Guo Buotao was able to block his punch. Half a year ago, Guo Buotao also took the same move head-on, which was why he lost the competition. If it was a few days ago, I definitely wouldn't have been able to do it. But today, my Vajra esoteric art has just reached the entry level. I can mobilize part of the deep muscles in my arms. Combined with the iron shell art, I can distribute your strength to other parts of the body. My defense is much higher than before. Why do you still want to continue fighting? Guo Buotao looked at Zhang Tianbiao with a light smile. Since you can block my punch, there is no need for us to continue fighting. This must be Lu Shitty. I look forward to sparring with you in the future. I'm going to continue practicing. Zhang Tianbiao heard Guo Buotao's words. He was a little shocked. He said a few words to Lu Kuan and continued to practice. So Brother Tao has already reached the entry level of the Vajra esoteric art. Congratulations. Chao Yunqi smiled until his eyes narrowed into slits. He was as happy as if he had reached the entry level. Senior Brother Guo is indeed powerful. This little brother admires you. I just came back from a mission. I'll go study the Vajra esoteric art first. I'll spar with Senior Brother another day. At this time, a young man with a long face and short hair walked past. From his broad shoulders and thick wrists, one could see that his bones were very thick. This is Ouyang Yiyun. He also cultivates the dragon form art. His bones are different from ordinary people. Although his strength is weaker than Zhang Tianbiao's, his explosive power is not inferior. Chao Yunqi introduced him to Lu Kuan. Chapter 13. Hearing Guobuotao's words, Lu Kuan and Chao Yunqi curiously looked at the long stone house behind him. There were several large chimneys above the stone house. Black smoke came out from them, and the air around the chimneys was slightly distorted. When they walked in, they felt a wave of heat hit them in the face. The whole room was about 10 meters deep, and it was slightly dark. Only the stone walls on both sides revealed a few rays of light, which also made the room have some airflow, making it not so stuffy. In the deepest part of the room, there was an iron wall. It was dark red in color, and the temperature of the whole room came from this iron wall. This is the raging fire room. The iron wall in the innermost part was made by the blacksmiths I sent. There's a furnace behind it that can maintain the temperature of this wall. We're just at the entrance, but it is already like the scorching sun. Ordinary people can't stay for too long. Even I can only stand 3 meters away from the iron wall. I've been standing there practicing for the past few days. My body feels like it's in a raging fire. While the high temperature disintegrates my external defenses, it also gradually burns my muscles. Only then can I feel its existence. It's a pity that I can't stand there for too long. Otherwise, I would definitely gain more. This senior brother Gua recalled the pain of being burned by the scorching sun. He wiped the sweat on his head with a face full of lingering fear. Brother Tao, let's talk outside. I can't stand it. After coming in for a while, Chao Yunqi's whole body was soaked. His face was red, and he was like a roasted pig. He dragged the two of them out. The purpose of building this raging fire room should be to rely on the external high temperature to let you feel the existence of your muscles and help disciples enter the sect. I estimate that only the 5th level of the Vajra esoteric art can stay for a long time closest to the iron wall. While speaking, Guobuotao led the two of them to the stone house opposite. This stone house looked much smaller from the outside and didn't have a chimney. After entering, they found a flight of stairs leading down. It turned out that this cultivation technique room was underground. The deeper the three went, the lower the temperature became. After walking about 5 feet, Lu Kuan discovered that this cultivation technique room was actually an ice cellar. Layers upon layers of huge ice bricks were placed all around. There were at least a few hundred of them. In the middle, there were several praying mats for people to sit on. This is the frigid ice cellar. It's a little different from the blazing fire room. The blazing fire room allows you to be passive, but this place allows you to take the initiative to resist. You guys sit near the ice and feel the coldness. Senior brother Gua gestured for them to sit down and let them experience the coldness first. You have to maintain your body temperature while sitting cross-legged. You have to let your body move on its own initiative. You have to constantly contract every muscle in your body so that they can continue to produce heat. When you start to feel tired, under the extreme stimulation of the cold, it is possible to gradually mobilize the contraction of the deeper muscles. Generally speaking, you should first feel the existence of the muscles in the burning room, then learn how to mobilize them in the ice cellar. The two complement each other and achieve a very good effect. To be honest, I have never seen the Great Elder in action before, so I don't know how frightening this Vajra arts is. Just now, when I tried it out with Zhang Tianbiao, I discovered that just the first level of the Vajra arts was able to increase my defensive power. It is truly a miraculous art. Fatty Chow, you might think that it is very difficult for you to cultivate it, but think about it. If you comprehend the deeper muscles, others will have to go through 3 layers of defense in order to injure you. At that time, you can be said to be the person with the highest defensive power in the sect. In the future, your life will have another layer of protection. Recently, the powers in Lingwest City know that our sect's strength has declined in recent years and are itching to make a move. Now, we are starting to lose people in the external missions. If it weren't for the Grand Elder's reputation, these powers would have already taken action. You and I both grew up in a sect. In the future, the Iron Fist School will have to rely on us to support it. Guobuotao looked at Fatty Chow's indifferent attitude and could not help but lecture him. Brother Tao, you once saved my life. If you let me cultivate properly, I will definitely not let you down. Chao Yunqi's expression immediately changed, and he said with a serious face, I am relieved to hear you say that. Junior brothers, if you want to use these 2 rooms, you must remember to put safety first. Senior brother, don't worry. We know what to do. Next, Guobuotao unreservedly explained his understanding of body control to the 2 of them. Some of the key points made Lu Kuan's eyes light up. He thought to himself that this senior brother Guo's thoughts were all about the buffering and unloading of the muscles. He should be thinking from the perspective of the body's defense. Many thanks for Brother Tao's guidance. It is very enlightening for this little brother. It seems that a big fatty like me might really be able to enter the sect. It is still a little cold here. Why don't we go out first? After staying there for a while, the 3 of them were a little pale. I wonder what the other 2 practice rooms are. Walking out of the ice cellar, Lu Kuan looked at the remaining stone rooms and asked. Those 2 rooms were originally intended to be the Raging Fire Room and the ice cellar, but the sect leader and elder you had other plans, so they temporarily put it aside. In recent years, only Elder Zhang had cultivated to the high level of the Vajra esoteric art. Now that he is dead, Elder, you can only follow his experience and make these 2 practice rooms. He wants to see if they are really effective. These 2 rooms will be combined into one and called the Ice Fire Room. A thin old man with thick eyebrows and small eyes walked over. It was Elder Yu. Greetings to Elder Yu. Why is it called the Ice Fire Room? After the 3 of them bowed, Chao Yunqi couldn't help but ask. The fire room on the upper floor and the ice cellar on the lower floor. These are to assist you in your cultivation. When you reach the first level, the sect leader and I will personally give you pressure to help you break through. Our internal force is 1 ice and 1 heat. Moreover, it can directly penetrate your external muscles. It is much more powerful than ice and hot iron. Elder Yu said proudly. At this time, Zhang Tianbiao also came over and bowed to Elder Yu. Zhang Tianbiao, I know that you want to use the method of strength training to sense the deeper layers of your muscles. Thus, after you reach the first level, your attack power will immediately increase. You must know that what we want now is for you to reach the second level as soon as possible and receive the Grand Elder's guidance as soon as possible, not to immediately increase your strength. For the next few days, you must make good use of these 2 practice rooms. After 7 days, I will come over and explain the Vajra esoteric art to you. At that time, if you still haven't reached the first level, see how I will deal with you. Elder Yu looked at the bald man who was madly training his strength and said with some disappointment. But Elder, Zhang Tianbiao still wanted to explain. What? You don't even want to listen to my words? Elder Yu sternly scolded. As you wish. But looking at his expression, it was obvious that he was unwilling. Chapter 14. After Elder Yu left, they all went to train separately. Zhang Tianbiao went to the Raging Fire Room, while Chao Tianqi followed Senior Guo to the ice cellar. Fatty Chao believed that his body would be useful in the ice cellar. As for Lu Kuan, he planned to go back to the stone house and try his strength training. With his understanding of the Vajra esoteric art, some of his previous special movements might be useful. Senior Guo told him that when he was in the Raging Fire Room and the ice cellar, his body was still. Lu Kuan knew the reason. Most of the deep muscles in the human body were used to maintain the stability of the body. Only when they were still and stimulated by external stimuli could people feel their existence. Some strength movements were also static, such as the handstand. Thinking of this, Lu Kuan returned to his room and began to try. The handstand seemed simple, but it wasn't. First of all, the correct posture was to stand in a straight line on the ground. In this movement, the strength of the shoulders was secondary. The most important thing was the deep muscles in the core of the waist and abdomen and the deep muscles in the arms. They were used to maintain the stability and balance of the body. Lu Kuan began to train in his room. According to his speculation, the best time to sense the deep muscles was when he was out of strength. Time passed slowly. Lu Kuan was sweating more and more. His body began to tremble as if he would collapse at any moment. His arms, shoulders, and abdomen began to ache. Now is the time. Lu Kuan threw away all distracting thoughts and used his consciousness to sense all the external muscles that were exerting strength. He felt the muscles in his arms crying out in pain, the muscles in his shoulders crying out in exhaustion, and the muscles in his abdomen crying out in pain. However, the blood in the muscles in his legs had decreased and could no longer be sensed. No, since I can't sense the muscles in my thighs and calves, why can they stand? What is maintaining them? Bones can't be stable without muscles. There must be. I must find it. His consciousness began to move towards his brain and gradually sense the muscles in his thighs. I can feel it. These are the external muscles. Why am I so stupid? The muscles around the waist and abdomen must be the muscles around the pelvis. His consciousness began to move towards his pelvis and abdomen. At this moment, the external muscles were a little numb. He ignored the external muscles that were crying out in pain. Finally, he felt something strange between his pelvis and abdomen. Those little fellows who were small but powerful enough to cling to the bones and hide in the depths of the external muscles. I've finally found you. Once he was agitated, his external muscles could no longer maintain their movements. With a bang, he fell to the ground. Lukuin did not get up. He firmly remembered this feeling in his mind. Then, he began to adjust his breathing and relax his body. He once again sensed the depths of the core of his body. However, he realized that this time, he could only sense the muscles there. He could not sense anything deeper. How can this be? I clearly felt them contracting just now, but now it's only a little. It must be because the muscles in the deeper layer were in a state of tension. Let me try again. Unfortunately, Lukuin's external muscles were starting to get tired. Every time Lukuin did a handstand, the duration was getting shorter and shorter, and the soreness in his external muscles was blocking Lukuin's perception. I can change my posture and think of a way to increase the pressure on the core. As long as I cross my legs and do a handstand, it'll be fine. After resting for more than an hour, Lukuin began to cross his legs and slowly do a handstand. As soon as he completed this movement, he felt the pressure on his waist increase greatly. He immediately began to sense his waist and abdomen. Not long after, the external muscles in his waist and abdomen could no longer bear the burden. His posture was about to collapse. Lukuin tensed his will to stabilize himself. At the same time, he once again felt the support of the muscles in the deeper layer. He immediately wholeheartedly experienced how these muscles exerted force and how they contracted when they supported his body. After experiencing it for a while, he could no longer support his body and fell. For the next 2 days, Lukuin locked himself in the stone house. Other than the servants bringing him meals and occasionally chatting with Chao Yunshi next door, he constantly practiced handstands. Later on, as long as he did this movement, he would be able to sense the muscles in the deeper layer of his core. However, when he was quiet, Lukuin was still unable to actively mobilize these muscles, so he could not be considered to have reached the threshold. Lu Shidi, are you still studying the Vajra esoteric art? I'm going to the ice cellar in a bit. Do you want to come along? For the past 2 days, Chao Yunshi would always greet him before practicing. Yeah, I'm starting to feel it now. I can go to the ice cellar while it's still hot and see if I can force myself to actively mobilize it. Lukuin was thinking about how to actively contract the muscles in the deeper layer. When he heard Chao Yunshi's words, he suddenly came to a realization. Senior Chao, wait for me. I'll go with you. Thinking that his goal was the muscles in the deeper layer of his waist and abdomen, Lukuin picked up the quilt in the house and walked out. Why is Lu Shidi bringing a quilt? Could it be that he wants to sleep in the ice cellar tonight? Chao Yunshi was astonished when he saw Lukuin come out with a quilt. Senior Chao, I'll have to trouble you to bring a quilt as well. As for what I'm going to do, you'll know in a bit. Lukuin smiled mysteriously at Fatty. Immediately after, Lukuin had a servant bring a few more quilts to the ice cellar. Then, he moved a few stone blocks inside. Under Chao Yunshi's curious gaze, Lukuin slowly built a strange combination in the middle. At the very bottom were some stone blocks that circled around the city. In the middle, there was enough space for one person stand. The height of the stone blocks was just enough to reach a person's hips. Above them was a layer of quilt. On top of the quilt was a layer of ice that was 1 foot high. Above the ice was another layer of quilt. Then Lukuin stood inside. At this time, only the core of Lu Kuan's waist and abdomen was in the ice. The rest of his body was insulated by the quilt, so it was slightly better. Senior Chow, I'll start to sense the muscles in the deeper layer of my waist and abdomen in a bit. Don't disturb me for now. After he finished speaking, Lu Kuan closed his eyes and mobilized his consciousness to sense the muscles in his waist and abdomen. He didn't care about Chow Yunqi's thoughtful expression. Very good. First, mobilize the external muscles to resist the cold. Gradually, there was a trace of warmth in his waist and abdomen. After a while, the external muscles were already exhausted and a little frozen. The cold air began to penetrate deep into his body. Before his internal organs could feel the cold, the deep layer of his muscles also began to throb a little. Thinking back to when he was doing a cross-legged handstand and the feeling of the deep layer of his muscles contracting, those little guys gradually began to contract under Lu Kuan's will with great difficulty. They're moving. Very good. I have to control them to contract slower. The slower they contract, the more my control will be strengthened. Lu Kuan didn't know how much time had passed, but after they had slowly contracted for about 20 times, Lu Kuan felt a little dizzy. His consciousness was very tired, so he opened his eyes and saw 4 pairs of curious eyes. Senior brothers, why are you all here? These people really gave Lu Kuan a fright. Fatty Chow told us to come. Lu Shidi stayed in this circle for more than an hour. Did you gain anything? Guo Tao explained. My luck was pretty good. I was just able to mobilize a little bit of the deep layer of my muscles. I barely managed to get started. After thinking about it, Lu Kuan didn't plan to hide it. However, he couldn't tell them about the fixed position he used before. Hiss! They all sucked in a breath of cold air. It must be known that they had practiced external martial arts for 10 years. Only Guo Tao had managed to get started by chance. This Lu Kuan had never practiced external martial arts, yet he was ahead of them. Could it be that he was a genius? I heard from Senior Brother Qian that Lu Shidi's foundation is solid and his spiritual sense is outstanding. He really lives up to his reputation. The one who spoke was Ouyang Yiyun. He still hadn't memorized the secret manual and was also the last to arrive. Therefore, he wasn't jealous. Guo Tao and Chow Yunqi had a good impression of Lu Kuan and were also happy for Lu Kuan. Chapter 15. Lu Kuan saw that everyone's expressions were different, so he didn't beat around the bush and told them about his thoughts and experiences in the ice cellar. The 4 of them were also quite talented. They immediately drew inferences and started to build the parts they were best at. As for Lu Kuan, he returned to the stone house with a dispirited expression. This situation had happened a long time ago when he first started working out. He would start to feel tired after mobilizing his muscles. He had just used more than an hour to control his muscles, so he immediately returned to rest. He slept all the way until dawn the next day. For example, Guo Tao had been practicing martial arts for many years, so his spirit was much stronger than Lu Kuan's, so he didn't feel as tired as Lu Kuan. When Lu Kuan trained more, his spirit quickly caught up with other martial arts practitioners. In the next few days, Lu Kuan continued to train the muscles in his waist and abdomen. He practiced in the ice cellar and did a handstand when he returned to the stone house. As his control grew stronger, he returned to a handstand. When the muscles in this area could be contracted at will, he could contract them according to the method taught in the first layer of the Vajra esoteric art. Slowly, the muscles in the entire body would be controlled. When all the muscles in the body could be mobilized, the first layer would be completed. However, Lu Kuan wanted to use his own method to cultivate. Through various static strength training, he could control the muscles in each area. This method was much better than the Vajra esoteric art. Time passed quickly, and the day of Elder Yu's lecture arrived. The 5 disciples were already waiting in an empty stone house in the middle of the plaza, waiting for Elder Yu's arrival. At this time, other than Chow Yunqi, the others had already reached the entry level. Guo Tao was the first to be able to control the muscles in his arms. Zhang Tianbiao stayed in the ice cellar for 3 days and finally felt the muscles in his chest. Ouyang Yiyun who was the latest to arrive, could also control the muscles in his shoulders. You all seem to have changed. Zhang Tianbiao, you should have reached the entry level. Yes, Elder Yu. Other than Xiao Yunqi, the rest of us have already reached the entry level. When Elder Yu heard that there were actually 4 people who had already entered the sect, he was also very surprised. This speed was much faster than him at that time. As for Xiao Yunqi not entering the sect, he was not surprised at all. I didn't expect you to be able to get started so quickly. As expected, you are all suitable for cultivating the Vajra arts. Actually, it was all Lu Shidi's idea that allowed us to get started so quickly. The one who spoke was Ouyang Yun. For the past few days, he had entered the technique practicing room with the attitude of giving it a try. He hadn't expected that he would be able to enter the technique practicing room so quickly. Lu Kuan, what's the plan? Let's hear it. This disciple came up with it by chance. Thus, Lu Kuan explained the situation in the ice cellar. Hearing this, Elder Yu's eyes lit up. Lu Kuan, you are very good. Haha, according to your method, the efficiency of cultivating the first layer of the Vajra arts has increased a lot. However, this method can not only be used in the ice cellar, but also in the fire room. Later, I will discuss with the blacksmiths in the sect to modify the fire room and see if we can change it into a high-temperature room. Today, I came here to see your progress. It has already exceeded my and the sect master's expectations. On the other hand, I want to pass on all of my experience in cultivating the first layer to you. You must listen carefully and not be distracted. Next, Elder Yu slowly explained the whole process and experience from how he first entered the sect, then to the large success of the first layer, all the way until he reached the second layer. During the explanation, he would occasionally raise some questions to each disciple to see if there were any mistakes in their understanding. In the end, when I broke through to the second layer, the first feeling was that my spiritual sense had increased a lot. In the past, I discussed it with the Great Elder and felt that the consciousness was constantly sensing the whole body, and the spiritual strength slowly increased, finally leading to the increase of spiritual sense. Therefore, although my internal force cultivation is still slightly lacking, my actual combat ability has reached the top of the first-class level. On the other hand, a high spiritual sense will definitely be of great use to the progress of the first layer. How to improve your spiritual sense is to constantly fight and experience life and death dangers. Moreover, the more dangerous the situation, the more it can stimulate your body's potential and increase your cultivation speed. You will know if you look at Lu Kuan. Although he has never practiced martial arts, he has been fighting with the wild beasts in the mountains since he was young. His spiritual sense is stronger than ordinary people, and his cultivation speed of the Vajra esoteric art is not slow at all. The sect master and I have decided that when you have gained something from the first layer, we will send you to carry out some more dangerous missions. Moreover, you should have also noticed that when you enter the sect and reach the large success stage, it will take a very long time. This is not cultivating internal force. Some pills will not be effective. If you do not use special methods, it will take a lot of time to reach the second layer. Let me ask you one more time. If you reach the third layer within 5 years, the Great Elder will personally guide you all the way to the 5th layer without any hidden dangers. Who does not want to continue cultivating? Seeing that the 5 disciples, especially Fatty Chow, were looking at him with firm eyes, Elder Yu nodded his head. Good. Next month, Guo Tao, Zhang Tianbiao, Ouyang Yun, you 3 will carry out the mission first. It just so happens that some of the nearby powers have begun to stir. Xiao Yunqi, you must enter the sect within a month. 2 months later, you will go with them. As for Lu Kuan, I will take you to pick a few suitable moves. Xiao Yunqi, you will pass the iron armor technique to Lu Kuan for reference in the next 2 months. Although Lu Kuan does not have internal force, with the first layer of the Vajra esoteric art, your attack and defense will not be weak. 1 year later, you will go out to carry out the mission. Moreover, during this year, we will select a few suitable disciples to comprehend the Vajra esoteric art. You will be responsible for guiding them. After Elder Yu finished his explanation, He immediately began to assign tasks to them. During the process of Elder Yu's questioning, he discovered that Lu Kuan had the deepest understanding of the first layer. The others were more or less influenced by the other techniques, so he threw the teaching job to him. Elder Yu had no choice but to make such an arrangement. I don't know who leaked the news that the Grand Elder's lifespan is running out. Coupled with Senior Brother Zhang's death, it has caused several powers in other cities to stir. There are some things that require our elders to personally take action. Yes, Great Elder, I will do my best to guide the other disciples. Lu Kuan naturally did not know what Elder Yu was thinking. After entering the first layer, the time spent on training each day would not be particularly long. This was because a person's spirit and the endurance of their muscles were limited. Only after reaching the last few layers would they need a large amount of time to cultivate. Therefore, teaching others would not waste too much time. Good. Follow my instructions. Lu Kuan, follow me. Elder Yu led Lu Kuan out of the stone house. The others looked at each other in dismay. Zhang Tianbiao, Ouyang Yun, there may be some friction between us. I hope that we can put this matter aside for now. From Elder Yu's tone, our next mission will be very dangerous. It will be easier for us to survive if we work together. Guo Buotao said to the other two. No problem. I, Zhang Tianbiao, am still clear on what is more important. Ouyang Yun glanced at the two. I also have no problem. However, we need to confirm who is the leader. How about this? Next month, whoever has the fastest progress in the Vajra esoteric art will be the leader. Good. Chapter 16. In half a year, Lu Kuan had already understood that martial arts were divided into inner strength and moves. There were two types of inner strength mantras. One was specialized in cultivating inner strength, and the top inner strength mantras even had special effects. These mantras used inner strength as the energy in the body. The second type was external force. It cultivated strength from the outside to the inside. The body's strength was the main force, and the inner force cultivated from the outside to the inside was supplementary. The Vajra art was another form of inner force mantras. However, the energy cultivated was all within the body. As for moves, they were used against the enemy. Inner force was the source of the move's power. However, the moves would be different depending on each person's comprehension. Some people had high comprehension and could unleash 100% of the inner force's power. Some people had low comprehension and could only unleash 50% of the power. Therefore, many martial arts techniques contained both moves and inner force. The two complemented each other. This way, people who cultivated these martial arts techniques could easily unleash the power of their moves. The iron armor art was one of these martial arts techniques. Its defensive techniques were also part of its moves. Elder Yu wanted him to study the iron armor art so that his Vajra art could unleash the defensive power of his body. Lu Kuan, what kind of moves do you want to learn? Elder Yu asked as he led Lu Kuan to the Hall of Martial Arts. The Hall of Martial Arts was where the Iron Fist School stored their martial arts techniques. Lu Kuan recalled that he had practiced boxing for a long time. Therefore, he was more inclined towards fist techniques. Elder Yu, I want to learn fist techniques. I wonder if there are any suitable fist techniques. Lu Kuan, I actually suggest that you learn saber techniques. For people who have just started practicing martial arts, the lethality of weapons is much greater than barehanded fists. Saber techniques are the simplest and most direct among weapons. Fist and leg techniques are more difficult to learn. Elder Yu, I have fought with wolves and wild beasts in the mountains since I was young. By chance, I comprehended a set of simple fist techniques. Therefore, I feel that it would be better for me to learn fist techniques. At this moment, the two of them happened to walk to the open space outside the Hall of Martial Arts. Lu Kuan also brought out his fist techniques to talk about. All right, attack me and let me experience it. Elder Yu immediately became interested. He was also a martial arts practitioner. He wanted to see what kind of fist techniques Lu Kuan could unleash. Please advise me, Elder Yu. Lu Kuan's body began to jump slightly. His feet touched the ground one after another, and he began to circle around Elder Yu. Every time Lu Kuan shifted, he used one leg to support himself and the other to exert force. His knees were full of elasticity, and he could advance or retreat at any time. He clenched his fists, and his shoulders seemed relaxed as he searched for the right time to strike. Elder stood in front of Lu Kuan in a relaxed manner and looked curiously at Lu Kuan's steps. Suddenly, Lu Kuan exerted force on his right ankle and stepped forward with his left foot. His right ankle exerted force on his waist. Coupled with the fact that Lu Kuan's waist strength had greatly increased recently, the entire force was transmitted from bottom to top, and he delivered a heavy right punch to the elder's head. Elder also met the punch with his right fist. Bang! The two fists collided as if they were evenly matched. As soon as the two fists met, Lu Kuan borrowed the force and retreated a little. He immediately stood on the tip of his left foot and leaned his center of gravity forward. He exerted force on his left ankle and similarly exerted force on his waist and abdomen. A straight left punch quickly flew out, and the speed was twice as fast as the heavy punch. Elder, you didn't expect Lu Kuan's second move to be so fast. He could only block it with his right forearm. Lu Kuan felt that the force of his fist had already entered. He didn't increase his strength. He withdrew his fist, squatted, and quickly threw a few uppercuts at the elder's ribs. Unfortunately, Elder was already prepared and calmly received all the force. After this round of exchange, Elder no longer underestimated Lu Kuan. Lu Kuan saw that Elder's defense was tight, and he had no chance, so he quickly retreated. Don't retreat. Use a few more moves. Elder let Lu Kuan continue to attack. Lu Kuan nodded. Next, he used a combination of swings, uppercuts, and straight punches. He attacked Elder several times, but Elder blocked them one by one. Finally, Elder increased his strength and repelled Lu Kuan, ending the battle. Lu Kuan, although your set of fist techniques only has a few moves, they are well coordinated. The key points should be in the feet. Every move needs to be coordinated with the feet. Just now, I didn't take the initiative to attack, so I think you also have a combination of dodging moves. Your fist techniques also have flaws. As long as the enemy understands your footwork, they will be restrained. However, it is quite useful when fighting with wild beasts. Elder's eyes are like torches. This set of fist techniques is all in the feet. The force of the fist starts from the ankle, exerts force on the waist and abdomen, and comes from the shoulder. In the past, my strength couldn't compare to wild beasts, so I could only think of ways to use the strength of my waist. With your current strength, an ordinary third-rate warrior is not your opponent, since you have such a good foundation. Elder carefully thought for a while, his expression faintly showing some hesitation. I know of a fist technique, but this fist technique has never been practiced by anyone else in the sect. You can only rely on yourself to comprehend it. Senior brother, why are you here? Are you here to pick a technique for this disciple? As they spoke, an elegant young woman walked out from the martial arts hall. Her appearance was ordinary, and there was a long sword at her waist. Yes, junior sister this disciple is quite talented in the Vajra art. He also has a foundation in fist techniques, so I want him to learn the Yuan exploding fist. It turned out that this was the sect's fourth elder, Lightning Sword Elder Yuan exploding fist? Is that the fist technique that relies purely on physical strength and doesn't use internal strength? That's right. Lu Kuan doesn't have internal strength. Cultivating the Vajra art also increases his physical strength. His own fist technique is somewhat similar to this Yuan exploding fist. All right, senior brother, please wait a moment. I'll take it out for you. After Elder finished speaking, he glanced at Lu Kuan and walked in. Not long after, he took out a piece of parchment. Junior sister, why did you take out the original? When he saw the parchment, Elder was surprised. They usually used a copy. This copy was taken by senior brother Zhang before he passed away. After senior brother passed away, the copy was not found. In addition, no one else was interested in this fist technique, so no one made a copy. All right, Lu Kuan, take a look at this technique first. If you don't think it's good, you can change to a saber technique. Elder Yu was surprised that senior brother Zhang had borrowed this fist technique, so he handed the technique to Lu Kuan. Holding the Yuan exploding fist, Lu Kuan opened it and read it. This fist technique mainly uses the strength of the muscles of the whole body to circulate an explosive force. Every time the fist hits the opponent, the Yuan exploding fist force can penetrate the opponent and explode in the body. It purely uses the strength of the physical body. Practitioners of internal strength are unable to exert its power. The first half of the secret manual talked about some force exertion techniques, while the second half talked about a few moves and steps. Lu Kuan looked at it briefly. He felt that this fist technique was very important to him. Elder Yu, I'll learn this Yuan exploding fist. Chapter 17. After Lu Kuan left, Elder Yu raised his right hand and rubbed his aching arm. Senior brother, what's wrong? I just tried out the fist technique that Brat created. I didn't expect him to hit my arm with brute force due to my carelessness. I'm afraid that when he reaches the third level of Vajra art, he will be on par with us. Although reaching the third level is similar to a first-rate expert, with senior brother's profound inner strength and the second level of Vajra art, how many first-rate experts can defeat you? Elder Yu obviously didn't agree with Elder Yu's words. Sai, you don't know. Although I reached the second level with senior brother Zhang's help, I still haven't made any progress. However, I can feel the power of this martial art. Elder Yu sighed. Let's not talk about this anymore. Senior brother, you said that you have something to discuss with me. What is it? Elder Yu's expression became serious, and he began to talk about serious matters. The Five Venoms sect in Lingwest City to the north has been restless recently. Senior brother sect leader asked us to, after Lu Kuan returned to his residence, he immediately took out the origin exploding fist and studied it carefully. So when this fist technique is practiced to a high level, one can use the explosive force at will. It is truly incomparably powerful. This fist force can only be done with the pure power of the physical body. Ordinary inner strength can only achieve this effect. Moreover, most people's physical strength is limited, so many disciples in the sect don't choose this. These moves all have the key points and postures to produce explosive fist force. No wonder Elder Yu felt that this martial art is suitable for me. These moves are similar to the straight punch and the hook punch. The technique of exerting force is much better than boxing. For the next year, I will practice the first level of Vajra art while practicing this origin exploding fist. One day, half a month later, there was a wooden frame in a corner of the training field. A feather ball was tied to the wooden frame with a string. Lu Kuan was practicing the same move over and over again. He kept hitting the ball with the same move, but it seemed to be powerless every time. The ball only shook slightly. Brother Tao, do you know what kind of fist technique Lu Shitty has been practicing recently? It doesn't seem to have any power, so why does he have to target the ball? I'm not too sure either, but I believe that Lu Shitty definitely has a purpose for training like this. Lu Kuan stopped practicing. Recently, he had been using this move repeatedly. His goal was to convert the explosive force, but he had been unable to do so. Today, every time he made a move, he would try his best to restrain his force and transform it according to the technique of the Yuan exploding fist. Now that he had accumulated too much force, he felt that he would not be able to restrain it anymore. Lu Kuan stopped and subconsciously adjusted his waist and abdomen according to the first layer of the Vajra Sutra. He produced a different vibration and punched out with astonishing speed. The strange thing was that the ball didn't move at all, but in the next moment, the entire ball exploded and a large number of feathers floated down from the sky. I finally mastered this move. Its might is indeed terrifying. This elemental explosive fist and the Vajra esoteric art seem to complement each other. Just now, I actually managed to break through the deep layer of muscles in my forearm. Previously, I thought that the first level of the Vajra esoteric art might not be as good as mine. Only now did I realize that the contraction frequency can quickly convert the force into explosive force in the muscles. In that case, I'll use my own method to cultivate the first level of the Vajra esoteric art and use the Vajra esoteric art to assist in the cultivation of the elemental explosive fist. This way, the efficiency will be the highest. Fatty Chow and Guoboy Tao were a little dazed as they watched from aside. Junior brother, what kind of fist technique is this? It's quite powerful, but junior brother, you don't have any internal force, right? Senior brother Gua, this is the elemental explosive fist. Half a month ago, elder you chose it for me. Is this the fist technique that doesn't use internal force? That's right. Hiss. The two of them sucked in a breath of cold air. Junior martial brother, you're already able to use this move that ignores one's external defense. If that's the case, then you can compete with ordinary second-rate experts. Fatty Chow looked at the scattered feathers and rubbed his stomach. He himself was only an ordinary second-rate expert. Senior brothers, I'll go back to my room to rest and digest today's breakthrough. When Lu Kuan returned to his room, he began to do a new movement. This movement was called the Russian erection on earth. The standard posture was that the forearm was perpendicular to the ground, the upper arm was at a right angle to the forearm, and the upper arm was at a straight line parallel to the ground. This movement put a lot of pressure on his shoulders, chest, and waist. With Lu Kuan's current body, he could do this for at most 30 breaths of time. He could already feel the depths of his chest, and he could also feel some sensation on his shoulders. 1 year was enough for him to practice to the large success stage. Today's harvest was not bad. Not only did I gain in the fist technique, but I also gained in the Vajra esoteric art. It's just that I'm a little tired today. Lu Kuan was lying on the bed with the sheepskin in his hand. He accidentally fell asleep. Lu Kuan was not wearing a shirt, so the sheepskin fell on the red mark below his chest. Not long after, the red mark suddenly lit up. 2 red threads on the outer circle scattered in all directions. There were also traces of purple light flashing on the top. At this moment, the sheepskin seemed to have felt something. It also emitted bursts of red light and faintly began to heat up. Lu Kuan woke up. As soon as he opened his eyes, he saw the strange phenomenon on the sheepskin in his hand. He saw the red mark below the sheepskin. Huh? What's going on with the sheepskin? Strange, why is it gone? Lu Kuan was shocked and immediately picked it up. When Lu Kuan put down the sheepskin, it began to turn red again. Faint words appeared on the back. Lu Kuan then discovered the strange existence of the red mark and purple light. It's been more than half a year, but the red mark is still there. What is this purple color? It's in my body, but I don't feel anything wrong with my body. Immediately, Lu Kuan's sleepiness disappeared. He carefully observed it. The red mark seemed to be different from before. It seemed to be slightly smaller. For some reason, when he saw the purple light, Lu Kuan thought of the dream he had when he first came to this world. The purple light was exactly the same as the Thunderbird's light. Could the two be related? The change in the sheepskin was clearly caused by the red mark and purple light. Lu Kuan looked at the sheepskin. Primordial Fire Waterfall Fist. What is this? Isn't it the Primordial Explosion Fist? Why did the name change? Lu Kuan stared at the new fist technique on the back of the sheepskin. How is this possible? It's a fist that can produce flames. No matter how strong one's internal force is, it's impossible to produce flames out of thin air. The moves used are the same as the Primordial Explosion Fist, but the mental cultivation method has changed. Huh, it's a bit similar to the Vajra esoteric art. Seeing the introduction, Lu Kuan was surprised. Lu Kuan carefully read the new words. So, this is the martial art that comes with the Vajra esoteric art. Looking at the meaning of this, the Primordial Fire Waterfall Fist is only one of the fist techniques. There are 4 other fist techniques. Together, they are called the 5 Elements Fist. It can only be practiced when the Vajra esoteric art reaches the 7th layer. Otherwise, the body will not be able to withstand the power and collapse. The Primordial Explosion Fist in front is a simple version. It's a fist technique that assists the cultivation of the 1st to 2nd layer. No wonder my progress is so obvious. Chapter 18. About 6 hours later, the purple light on his chest disappeared and the sheepskin returned to its original state. Lu Kuan looked at the sheepskin in his hand and recalled that Elder Yu said that Zhang Yang had also seen the Yuan exploding fist. At most, he found out that the Yuan exploding fist helped with the first 2 layers of the Vajra esoteric art. How did something happen? From Elder Yu's tone, the elders only knew that there were 5 layers to the Vajra esoteric art. Since the Grand Elder wanted to personally guide the 3rd layer of the Vajra esoteric art, Lu Kuan felt that he would be involved in something if he cultivated the Vajra esoteric art. No matter what, I have to improve my strength first. With the Yuan exploding fist, the first 2 layers will be faster. This way, I will meet the Grand Elder first and ask him more about the Vajra esoteric art. For the next few nights, Lu Kuan carefully observed the purple light and red mark. He found that they would emit a faint light for 6 hours every night. During this time, the red threads around the red mark would slowly dissipate. Then, the red threads would appear the next day, indicating that the body was absorbing the red mark every day. Looking at this speed, it will take at least a few decades. But what is the purple light? Lu Kuan shook his head in the end and decided to make a comparison after a period of time. In the following days, Lu Kuan learned about the iron shell art from Chao Yunqi while cultivating the Yuan exploding fist and Vajra esoteric art. Gradually, a few disciples were sent over. These disciples obeyed Elder Yu's orders and had to address Lu Kuan as senior brother and ask him for guidance on the Vajra esoteric art. Although they had not entered the Vajra esoteric art, they were still disciples with some strength. Therefore, these disciples still looked down on him. Lu Kuan did not take it to heart. One day, on the Vajra esoteric art disciples' training ground, a fatty and a tall and sturdy man stood in the middle of the square. There were 6 or 7 disciples around them who were pointing at them. Lu Shidi, I, Fatty Chow, am about to go out on a mission. For the past 2 months, I have relied on Junior Brother's guidance to enter the Vajra esoteric art. I see that Junior Brother's martial arts are improving rapidly. Why don't we exchange pointers today? After entering the Vajra esoteric art, Chao Yunqi had also made a breakthrough in the iron shell art. He was quite confident in his defense. Seeing Lu Kuan's recent improvements, he wanted to test his strength. All right, I also want to test my strength. Lu Kuan was also eager to give it a try. After combining the Vajra art and Yuan exploding fist for the past 2 months, he had actually reached the small success stage of the first stage. He could now smoothly control a small portion of the muscles and the deeper layers of his body, and the Yuan exploding fist power had also increased by a lot. Senior Brother Chow, I'll make the first move. Martial arts is Vajra. Fist martial arts. Martial art. Martial arts. Martial arts is martial fist martial art. Lu Kuan immediately used the essence exploding fist pulling chestnuts from fire. This move was very fast, and there were a lot of changes in the moves. He could change his moves at any time. A burst of energy was also contained in his body, waiting to be released when he changed his move. Chao Yunqi deliberately wanted to test the power of Lu Kuan's fist. His fat body slightly swayed as he used a heavy fist technique. Coupled with his body size, it made people feel as if they were being crushed by a mountain. Lu Kuan was a little surprised when he saw this fist. He immediately sent out a burst of energy. The 2 fists collided. The sound wasn't loud, but Lu Kuan was pushed back more than 3 meters. The clothes on Chao Yunqi's arm also exploded. Following that, Chao Yunqi laughed loudly. He attacked Lu Kuan as if he wasn't injured. Although the fatty's attack speed was slow, every punch was as heavy as his entire body. It contained a few hundred kilograms of force. After Lu Kuan took the first punch, he didn't dare to take it head-on. If he took a few more punches, he would be defeated. Therefore, he used the exploding fist's footwork to dodge. In just a short while, the 2 of them had exchanged more than 10 moves. Chao Yunqi's shirt had been completely torn apart, revealing the fat on his body that was trembling. Lu Kuan was accidentally hit by a punch. Fortunately, he used the iron shell art's defensive technique and was pushed back 3 meters. He only suffered a small injury. Lu Kuan thought to himself, Senior Marshal Brother Chao's defense is so high that he won't be injured. On the contrary, I will make a mistake and get hit. If this continues, I will definitely lose. Since that's the case, I might as well try that move. Lu Kuan made his decision. Following that, Lu Kuan began to change his footwork. He circled around Chao Yunqi and threw punches. Every punch wasn't fast, but they all collided with Chao Yunqi's. Moreover, Lu Kuan didn't retreat to dissipate the force. After 3 punches, Lu Kuan roared. The clothes on his upper body exploded, and all his muscles bulged. He punched his opponent's stomach at an extremely fast speed. Chao Yunqi saw Lu Kuan's expression and body condition and knew that this punch was very powerful. However, this punch was too sudden and he couldn't dodge it, so he took the initiative to meet it. This punch landed on Chao Yunqi's stomach, causing the fat on his body to tremble. He then spat out a mouthful of blood and fell backwards. Lu Kuan didn't have the joy of victory. Blood also flowed out of his mouth as he slowly sat down on the ground. The surrounding disciples were dumbstruck by the two's exchange. One must know that Chao Yunqi's defense could be said to be the strongest among the second-rate experts in the sect. However, he was actually beaten to the point of spitting blood. Junior Marshal Brother, what is the name of this last move? Its power is far greater than your previous punches. After spitting out a mouthful of blood, Chao Yunqi rested for a while. He seemed to have recovered a lot and asked, This is one of the more difficult moves of the Yuan Exploding Fist. I haven't mastered it yet. It's called Single Spark Makes a Prairie Fire. It can store the enemy's strength in one's muscles and finally release it with one's own strength. After I received Senior Marshal Brother's first punch, I felt that Senior Marshal Brother's fist technique mainly relied on his own body weight to exert force. There wasn't much inner strength, so my last few punches used your strength to accumulate it in my body before releasing it all. This move is a bit difficult for me right now. I can't store the enemy's inner strength. So after the fist energy was released, I was also injured by your inner strength. If your every punch relied solely on your inner strength, then I wouldn't dare to use this move at all. So that's how it is. This fist technique of mine comes from the Iron Armor art. It's called Mountain Shaking Fist. It's only suitable for people with heavy bodies. The greater the body weight, the greater the power. Junior Marshal Brother being able to receive it, aside from this fist technique, should also have something to do with Junior Marshal Brother's innate divine strength. Innate divine strength. Lu Kuan muttered to himself. His eyes were slightly dazed as he thought of the red mark and purple light on his body. I met Senior Marshal Brother Qian some time ago. Senior Marshal Brother Qian told me about it. After fighting with him today, I realized that Senior Marshal Brother Qian's words were not false. All right, Junior Marshal Brother, I will be leaving for Linghua City in 2 days to carry out a mission. This injury won't be a problem, right? Lu Kuan was somewhat worried. If it was in the past, it definitely wouldn't have been able to do it. Now that my Iron Armor art has improved, I'll be fine in a day or 2. That's good. Senior Marshal Brother, take care. We'll meet again someday. Junior Marshal Brother, take care too. Chao Yunqi stood up and left. After that, Lu Kuan repeatedly recalled Chao Yunqi's words about innate divine strength. He also remembered that after he came to this world, his strength had indeed been increasing. At first, he didn't pay much attention to it. Now that he thought about it, from the time he killed the wild wolf, to Senior Marshal Brother Qian's foundation test, and now, the increase in strength should have been accompanied by the shrinking of the red mark. After thinking about this, Lu Kuan finally understood one thing in his heart. What are you looking at? Why aren't you cultivating? Lu Kuan immediately said when he saw that his disciples were still in a daze. Chapter 19. One day, a year later, Lu Kuan was sitting in a private room on the 3rd floor of Fortune Origin Restaurant, listening to Wang Xiaopeng's eloquent explanation. In the past year, Lu Kuan's martial arts had improved by leaps and bounds. First of all, he had mastered the Origin Exploding Fist, and he was close to mastering the first stage of Vajra scripture, causing his origin exploding fist to become even more powerful. The red mark and purple light had not only caused Lu Kuan's physical strength to slowly increase, but also his eyes. Not only had his eyesight greatly increased, the night was now as bright as day in his eyes. East of Dawn Moon City is the closest mid-sized city to us. The power in charge of Dawn Moon City is Five Venom Sect. Five Venom Sect's strength has increased greatly in recent years. They have 8 first-rate experts, and their sect master and great elder are also super first-rate experts. Ever since something happened to our Iron Fist School's great elder, we only have 1 super first-rate expert and 3 first-rate experts, the sect master. The number of inner and outer disciples is about the same. Since 1 year ago, some of the strongholds Iron Fist sect had in Linues City were wiped out by 5 Venoms. The inner sect disciples who were stationed there were also killed. Gradually, conflict between the 2 sects also broke out in the cities and towns between Huayuan City and Linues City. 5 Venom's sect dared to attack us. Are they not afraid of our great elder? Recently, there's been a rumor that our grand elder does not have much time left in his life. 5 Venoms is testing our reaction. The sect master's order for the past year is to fight against 5 Venoms at full force. Right now, a few of our grand elders and most of our disciples have been sent out. I was only able to survive this battle because I was lucky. Wang Xiaopan's face was still a little scared. Lu Kuan thought, no wonder there are bandits who dare to rob Iron Fist Sect's goods in the cities and towns to the west. They are taking advantage of our lack of manpower. At this time, an ordinary-looking young man walked over. Lu Shidi, how have you been? The sect master really did arrange for you. Wang Xiaopang, you can leave first. I have something to discuss with Lu Shidi. The newcomer was Guo Buotao. When Wang Xiaopang saw Guo Buotao, his expression was somewhat respectful, and he immediately left. Hello, Senior Brother Guo. Long time no see. I wonder if Senior Brother knows anything about this Blackwind stronghold? The sect leader told me to listen to Senior Martial Brother Guo's arrangements. Brother Guo then began to talk about this Haifeng stronghold. This Haifeng stronghold was just a mediocre force a few years ago. They didn't even have many third-rate experts. How would they dare to rob our goods? However, I don't know what happened recently, but their strength has increased greatly. There's at least 1 second-rate expert, and there should be more than 10 third-rate experts. Previously, they robbed the goods twice, and only 1 outer sect disciple escaped. In the end, he was seriously injured and died. The sect leader suspects that Blackwind Mountain might be in cahoots with 5 Venoms, which is why he sent the 2 of us to lurk in the group and kill the bandits who came to rob them. In the end, we will figure out Blackwind Mountain's location and uproot them. I heard from a sect leader that Junior Apprentice Brother's current strength is valiant, so this mission should be relatively easy. How can this little brother's strength be compared to Senior Brother's? This little brother will listen to Senior Brother's instructions for this mission. Lu Kuan also understood the sect leader's intention. He wanted to use this low-risk mission to give him some experience. Junior Apprentice Brother, there is no need to be humble. Recently, our Iron Fist School will go to the towns below to collect medicinal herbs. We will split into 5 groups and go to 5 different towns. We will disguise ourselves as normal guards in one of the groups. On the surface, this group has 3 outer sect disciples and around 10 guards. The value of the goods in this group is average. In the eyes of the bandits, this group is the least likely to ambush them. Let's go after we finish eating. Guo Buotao gave a simple explanation of the plan. All right, Senior Apprentice Brother. Reed Creek Town was a rather large town to the south of Huayuan City. It was close to Luyang Mountain Range and was rich in a medicinal herb called hemp rope grass. Every year, Iron Fist School would come here to collect a large amount of hemp rope grass and transport it to Huayuan City to sell it to merchants everywhere. On this day, Lu Kuan and Guo Buotao's group had already finished collecting the goods and were about to set off for Huayuan City. The group would need around 4 days to return to Huayuan City. The most likely time for Blackwind Mountain to make their move should be on the night of the 2nd day. However, On the first night, Lu Kuan relied on his night vision to see two people sneakily following them in the distance. They were carefully observing the group's strength in the distant darkness. On the second night, not long after their group had set up camp, Lu Kuan discovered a group of people slowly approaching and lurking not far away. It seemed that they had really picked this group. Lu Kuan casually walked to Guobuotao's side and gave him a meaningful look. Guobuotao nodded slightly. In a bush not too far away from Lu Kuan's group, there was a group of about 20 people hiding there. Big brother, this group's strength can be considered strong, but their goods are not worth that much. Why do we have to deal with this group? The one who whispered was a wretched man with a protruding mouth and monkey cheeks. Idiot, what do you know? A group with valuable goods will definitely have experts hiding in the dark. The reason why we were able to succeed the previous few times was because Iron Fist sect was not prepared. Besides, I've already sent people to observe them. A group with valuable goods actually has the same strength as before. Iron Fist sect knows that we might rob them. So who the hell would be so stupid as to not send more people? So this is definitely a trap. Do they really think that I, Wang Samba, am stupid? But big brother, what if this group is also ambushed? Right now, most of the inner sect disciples are in the towns near Lingua City. They don't have enough manpower. How could they waste their manpower on such a worthless group? As expected of big brother, you're really smart. The wretched man flattered him. We've already earned a lot from the previous 2 trips. This time, we might have less, but we're safe. Once Iron Fist sect and 5 Venoms start a full-scale war, this place will belong to us, Black Wind Mountain, the bearded man said proudly. In a while, I'll deal with those outer sect disciples. You guys hurry up and kill all the guards. This time, you can't let a single one of them escape, understand? The group of robbers waved the blades in their hands to show that they understood. All of them were panting heavily. Their eyes were red, and they were abnormally excited. All right, brothers, let's go. Wang Samba growled. He held a large blade and led the group of people to charge out. With such a huge commotion, the guards who were on sentry duty immediately shouted, "The robbers are here." 3 outer sect disciples quickly rushed out of the tent. When they saw Wang Samba charging towards them, the 3 outer sect disciples took out their weapons and began a fight with him. Wang Samba was indeed a second-rate expert. His large blade danced wildly, and his inner strength was also quite fierce. In just a short 10 moves, the 3 outer sect disciples were already unable to hold on. Suddenly, a long blade silently attacked Wang Samba from behind. The powerful aura caused Wang Samba to be shocked, and he immediately turned around to block the attack. So, it's Senior Brother Gua. Its Senior Brother was Iron Armor Technique and Rushing Thunder Blade Technique. The one who attacked was Guobuotao. Guobuotao was also one of the top experts among the inner sect disciples. In terms of technique and strength, he completely suppressed Wang Samba. There were a few times when Wang Samba's blade slashed at Guobuotao's body, but it was as if he was slashing in an iron armor, unable to break through Guobuotao's defense. Guobuotao held back his strength and ordered the 3 outer sect disciples, "The 3 of you go and deal with the others. Don't let a single robber escape. Guobuotao, will deal with this person." Hearing Guobuotao's words, Wang Samba was extremely angry. Unfortunately, under Guobuotao's pressure, he couldn't even curse. The 3 outer sect disciples turned around to deal with the other robbers. They saw a tall and sturdy figure shuttling through the crowd of robbers. Every punch landed on the enemy's heart. The robbers who were hit silently fell down. 1 punch, 1 life. It was extremely fierce. The robbers' attacks were easily dodged by him. Seeing their companions being killed so easily, the other robbers could no longer suppress the fear in their hearts and began to escape. The 3 outer sect disciples, as if awakened from a dream, began to chase after the robbers. Lu Kuan rushed towards the first few people to escape. In the dark night, no one could escape from Lu Kuan's eyes. Only the screams of the robbers could be heard, which was quite horrifying. Chapter 20. This time, it's all thanks to senior brother Gua hiding nearby. Otherwise, the consequences would have been unimaginable. The one who spoke was a tall disciple. He was the one with the highest martial arts among the 3 outer disciples. When he fought with Wang Samba, he blocked most of his moves. Junior brother Feng, the sect master, arranged for me and Lu Shitty to hide in your group. As expected, we ambushed these bandits. Guo Buitao also recognized this tall disciple. The sect master truly has foresight. This must be senior brother Lu. I've heard a lot about you. During this year, many disciples who had entered the Vajra esoteric art came out to carry out missions. Lu Kuin's name was known by most of the disciples. You guys can chat later. I'll first ask for the location of the Black Wind stronghold. I'm quite good at torturing people. Junior brothers, please stand guard. After speaking, Guo Buitao brought the 6 bandits into the tent. His ordinary face revealed a cruel smile. Seeing this, Lu Kuin and the others felt a chill in their hearts. They obeyed and stood guard. It must be known that Guo Buitao was very famous among the disciples. Not only was his martial arts powerful, but he was also good at torturing people. No enemy could not keep their secrets from him. He had the illustrious name of Iron-Armored Ruthless Official. However, Guo Buitao took care of his fellow disciples. He often blocked knives for others, so he was very respected in the sect. Then, they heard a few terrified cries and screams coming from the tent. After a while, Guo Buitao brought out a wretched bandit with a protruding mouth and monkey-like cheeks. All right, the others have been killed by me. I've asked everything I need to know. It turns out that the Black Wind stronghold has been in contact with the 5 Venom sect for a few years. The 2 leaders are brothers. The younger brother is Wang Samba, who I just killed. The older brother is Wang Erda. They both learned some of the 5 Venom sect's martial arts and are second-rate experts. According to Li Guzi, Wang Erda's kung fu is even better than Wang Erda's. Now, except for Wang Erda, who is a second-rate kung fu master, and a dozen third-rate kung fu bandits, the rest of the bandits are just ordinary bandits. We can go and see if we have a chance to destroy the Hafen gang. Guo Buitao told them about the situation in the Hafen gang. By the way, Li Guzi, can you tell me where the Black Wind Stockade is located? Reporting to Sir, the Black Wind Stockade is located on a small mountain peak outside the Luyang mountain range. It is about a day's journey from here. Although the mountain peak is not high, there's only one path from the foot of the mountain to the peak. There are sentries along the way, so it is very difficult for ordinary people to climb up the mountain silently. Moreover, the stockade is surrounded by a large gate, making it easy to defend and difficult to attack. Li Guzi answered honestly, with a frightened expression on his face. It could be seen that Guo Buitao's means were really powerful. What's behind the Black Wind Stockade? Is there anyone keeping watch? Lu Kuin suddenly asked. Behind the Black Wind Stockade is a cliff that is hundreds of feet high. There is no need to keep watch. Senior Marshal Brother Gua, why don't we go to the bottom of the cliff behind the Black Wind Stockade? Junior Marshal Brother should be able to climb over the cliff. Lu Kuin was moved when he heard about the cliff that was hundreds of feet high. Junior Marshal Brother actually has this ability. If Junior Marshal Brother can really climb up and kill Wang Erda, then we can really destroy the Black Wind Stockade from the inside. Let this person take us to the bottom of the cliff behind the Black Wind Stockade. We will know when we get there. Okay, then we will split into 2 groups. The rest of you will continue on your journey and send the goods back to Huayuan City. Junior Marshal Brother Feng, you will stay behind. You will follow me and Lu Shitty to the Black Wind Stockade. Under Guo Buitao's arrangement, the few of them followed Li Guzi to the Black Wind Stockade. The other guards and outer sect disciples followed the order and returned to Huayuan City. Lu Kuin and the other 3 hurried on their journey. On the evening of the 2nd day, they arrived at the small valley below the cliff. This small valley was full of rocks, and there were few trees. There were cliffs that were hundreds of feet high on both sides. The Black Wind Stockade was located on the eastern side of the cliff. The cliff did not go straight up. At the top, it protruded outwards. Moreover, it was a rocky cliff with no vegetation to support it. No wonder the people of the Blackwind Stockade were so relaxed. Unless someone knew how to fly, it was impossible to enter from the back. When Lu Kuan saw the rocky cliff, he smiled and said to Guobuotao, "Senior Marshal Brother, I can climb up this cliff. Senior Marshal Brother, please wait at the foot of the mountain. After I sneak up and kill Wang Erda, I will set fire to the stockade. When Senior Marshal Brother sees the fire, go up the mountain to meet me. I will open the gate. The rest of the bandits will not be a problem for us." On the way, Li Guzi had already told them about Wang Erda's appearance, the layout of the stockade, and some of the conversations in the stockade. He also said that if Wang Erda succeeded, he would return to the stockade the next day. The stockade should not have received the news yet and would not be on guard. Lu Kuan was confident that he could sneak in at night. What? Junior Marshal Brother actually has a unique skill to climb such a cliff? But that Wang Erda's martial arts are not low. Junior Marshal Brother, what about you? Guobuotao was not only surprised by Lu Kuan's description of the steep cliff, but he was also afraid that Lu Kuan would not be able to defeat Wang Erda. Before I left, the sect leader had already tested my martial arts. He must have also told Senior Marshal Brother that I am confident that I can kill Wang Erda. Don't worry. Before giving Lu Kuan the task, the sect leader and Lu Kuan exchanged blows. He knew the power of Lu Kuan's Yuan exploding fist. He said that if a second-rate master was hit by Lu Kuan's Yuan exploding fist, he would definitely die. Guobuotao also thought of what the sect leader had told him, so he agreed with Lu Kuan's idea. The reason why Lu Kuan was so confident in climbing rock cliffs was that he had once climbed the chieftain's peak with his bare hands without any protection back on earth. This small peak was far inferior to chieftain's peak, not to mention that his upper body was now stronger. Lu Kuan changed into a set of night clothes and casually moved his joints. He waited until the sky turned dark before he began to climb. He exerted force with his fingers and grabbed onto every crack in the rock to hang his body. He used the tip of his foot to step on the higher cracks to support his body. His other hand grabbed onto the higher cracks and slowly climbed like a spider. 100 zhang was not very high. With Lu Kuan's speed, it took him more than an hour to reach the protruding rock at the peak. At this time, Guobuotao and Junior Marshal Brother Feng were sweating profusely and were extremely nervous. At a height of 100 zhang, any martial arts would be useless. If they fell, they would definitely die. At this time, Lu Kuan was still using his fingers to grab a crack. Relying only on the strength of his fingers, he slowly climbed to the edge. In the eyes of the people below, Lu Kuan was like a strong monkey hanging from a tree. He swayed forward at a leisurely pace. Finally, when he reached the peak of the cliff, Lu Kuan flipped over and hooked his feet onto the rock above. He straightened his body and flipped to the top of the mountain, disappearing from the eyes of the people below. Guobuotao was drenched in cold sweat as he watched from below. He did not know that in Lu Kuan's previous world, many top climbers could easily do this. Lu Shidi's ultimate skill is really amazing. It seems that I don't have to worry too much about that Wang Erda. Seeing Lu Kuan climb up, Guobuotao was completely relieved. Senior Marshal Brother Hua, I didn't expect Senior Marshal Brother Lu to be able to face this kind of cliff as if it was nothing. Junior Marshal Brother Feng was already dumbfounded. Junior Marshal Brother was born with divine strength. He will naturally be able to do things that we can't do. I will wait at the foot of the mountain for Junior Marshal Brother to set the fire. Junior Marshal Brother Feng, take this robber back to the sect first. Let him report the matter of 5 Venoms and Blackwind Stronghold to the sect master. Lu Shidi has already entered Blackwind Stronghold. There shouldn't be any problems leaving this place to the two of us. Chapter 21. After Lu Kuan climbed up the cliff, he was very careful, afraid that he would be discovered by the people of Haifeng Stockade. However, he obviously worried too much. There was not a single blade of grass growing near the cliff. The sandstorm was strong, and it was spacious. No one would come here at all. As Lu Kuan walked forward, he used his night vision to look into the distance. Hafing Stockade's house should be about 30 meters away from here. Looking further, he saw some sentry towers with figures moving around on them. Unfortunately, the cliff was dark and there was no one guarding it. There wasn't even a wall. After getting closer, Lu Kuan first discovered that this was a woodshed. Recalling Li Guzi's description, he knew that he was now in the southwest of the stockade. The stockade master's room was in the northwest. In the middle, he had to pass through the stockade's main hall. The main hall was where the robbers gathered to drink and eat. At this time, they should have finished eating. Lu Kuan walked slowly close to a few houses. His ears listened to the movements around him. After approaching a house near the main hall, he stopped. There was a voice in front of him. "Brother, we drank so happily today. Hafing Stockade is finally going to have a good life." "That's right. Just the goods we sold last time are enough for us to eat for a long time." Lu Kuan relaxed. So it's two drunkards. He hid behind the wall and waited for two swaying figures to come over. Then he punched them in the temples with both fists. The two bandits fell without a sound. After killing the two, Lu Kuan continued to move forward. He found that there were some drunk bandits near the main hall. Could it be that this group of people is drinking together today? That's good. It saves me the trouble. Lu Kuan killed one of the drunkards he met. Lu Kuan used the strength of the essence, exploding fist. The dead bandits fell to the ground without any wounds. It was as if they were drunk and asleep. After dealing with more than 10 people along the way, Lu Kuan finally approached a small courtyard. This was Wang Erda's residence. At this time, the house in the courtyard was still lit up, and there seemed to be two figures inside. There were also two guards at the entrance of the courtyard. Lu Kuan wasn't confident that he could kill the guards without them making a sound. He looked around and saw that there was a house nearby, so he leaped onto the roof without being seen by the guards. Now that Lu Kuan had perfect control over his muscles, he didn't make a single sound when he got onto the roof. Lu Kuan nimbly jumped onto the roof beam of Wang Erda's room from the neighboring room. He leaned against the roof tiles, and a shrill male voice came from inside the room. "Stockade Master Wang, your younger brother should have succeeded yesterday. Why hasn't he returned today? Could he have been ambushed by the Iron Fist School? Don't worry, Brother Zhang. I told them to choose a group with lower value. Iron Fist School doesn't have enough people, so they won't set up an ambush in this kind of group. Besides, the agreed time to return to the stockade is tomorrow. They also don't know that Brother Zhang came to collect the goods ahead of time. Heh. Iron Fist School will definitely not think that the merchants in Hua Yuan City belong to Five Venoms. If that wasn't the case, how could the previous two batches of goods be sold so quickly? This time, we managed to hold back part of Iron Fist School's energy and also damage their reputation. It's a good deal. By the way, your previous robberies were easier. Now, Iron Fist School is on guard. Once we're done with this, you should be quiet for a while. This time, I'll leave the elites I brought with me in your stronghold. The next mission will be a little special. At that time, it won't be so easy for me to bring people over. What mission? Is it also about robbing houses? Stockade Master Wang, you don't have to make wild guesses. You'll know in the future. It's a little late now, so I'm going back to my room to rest. Brother Zhang, you should go back first. Once we're done with the trade tomorrow, I'll treat you well." At that moment, Lu Kuan heard the sound of a door opening. The Five Venoms disciple should have walked out. Based on their tone, there were still some Five Venoms disciples in the stronghold. The person just now should be a second-class elite as well, so he had to get rid of them separately. Lu Kuan thought about it before he jumped out of the house lightly and followed behind the Five Venoms disciple carefully. After walking for a while, the Five Venoms disciple walked into a house. Lu Kuan thought about it and waited outside for a while before he went straight to the house. He did not restrain his footsteps and was prepared to knock on the door. "Who is it?" Mr. Zhang, the second leader, and the others came back just now, and they're heavily injured. They kept talking about Iron Fist School. The first leader thinks that there's something wrong with the situation and asked you to quickly go and take a look. What? Wang Erda just told me that nothing will happen. As he spoke, the Five Venoms disciple opened the door and walked out. Before he could finish his words, Lu Kuan had already struck him with the heaven-descending fiery rain of the primordial explosive fist. After the fist force entered the enemy's body, it would quickly disperse, causing the enemy's muscles to be temporarily paralyzed. Lu Kuan's ambush was too fast. Before the five Venom's disciple could react, Lu Kuan had already punched him in the chest. His body spasmed, and he fell to the ground. Speaking of which, this five Venom's disciple was not weak. If he really fought against Lu Kuan, even though Lu Kuan would win, he would definitely alert the others. Unfortunately, while this person was distracted, he was ambushed by Lu Kuan's origin exploding fist and was subdued in one move. Lu Kuan then dragged this person into the house, tore the bedsheet, and used it as a rope, tied him up, and gagged him. To prevent him from escaping, Lu Kuan sent a light, explosive fist force into his legs and arms, injuring the muscles in his limbs and preventing him from escaping. Then, he placed him on the bed and covered him with a blanket. He was prepared to take care of everyone else before pushing him back into the school with Senior Gua. Lu Kuan was a person who always used the easiest method to solve problems. He reckoned that the people living around him were the five Venom's disciples he brought, and most of them were drunk. Lu Kuan entered the room and ruthlessly took care of them while they were drunk and powerless. Lu Kuan had thought about it a long time ago. In this world where strength reigned supreme, other than some moral bottom line, he had to be ruthless. Then, Lu Kuan walked to the main hall. He did not care about the drunk and unconscious people inside, and used alcohol to set the hall on fire. Then, he walked to the side of a drunkard and put on his clothes that reeked of alcohol. He smeared some black mud on his face and pretended to be blackened by the fire. Then, he ran toward Wang Erda's room in a panic. When he reached Wang Erda's courtyard, he shouted, "Not good, not good. There's a fire. Quickly go and inform the Great Master." Lu Kuan looked like a person who drank too much and lost his head out of fear. The smell of alcohol on his clothes could be smelled from far away. The two guards looked at the distant fire and heard the shouts coming from there. Then, they looked at Lu Kuan's blackened face and immediately believed Lu Kuan's words. "Who's making such a big fuss outside?" An irritable voice came from inside the house. "Great Master, it seems like the main hall is on fire." One of the guards turned around and answered. At this moment, Lu Kuan quickly made his move. He punched the temple of the guard beside him, then hit the back of the other guard who turned around. He supported the two guards and let them slowly fall down. Chapter 22. Lu Kuan wanted to use the same trick to sneak attack the first master, but when Lu Kuan approached the room, the door suddenly opened. A figure rushed out and quickly sent a palm strike at Lu Kuan. Lu Kuan's nerves had been tense the entire time, so he didn't panic when he saw this. He used his Yuan exploding fist to fight back, and then retreated. "Who are you? How did you come to my Black Wind stronghold?" Wang Erda and Wang Samba looked similar, but there was a scar on his face, and he was much smaller. "How did you know that I was a fake?" Lu Kuan took off his clothes that reeked of alcohol. From Wang Erda's palm strike, he could feel that his inner strength was deep. He could be considered a second-rate expert, but Lu Kuan used the iron shell art to disperse his inner strength, so he wasn't injured. "It's very simple. In my stronghold, those who enter my courtyard without permission are those who want to harm me." "Good, as expected of the first master. Then let's see who's the real deal." After Lu Kuan finished speaking, he began to use all the strength in his body to attack. Wang Erda's heart trembled. In the previous move, he had taken the initiative to attack first. His opponent had hastily received the attack, so the force in his fist still made his arm feel a little uncomfortable. It was clear that his opponent's strength was different. He said those words just now to use his inner strength to soothe the soreness in his arm. Now Wang Erda was much more cautious. He tried his best not to receive his opponent's attacks. After exchanging dozens of moves, Wang Erda realized that Lu Kuan only had a few moves. The fear in Wang Erda's heart gradually disappeared. At first, Wang Erda passively defended, but later on, he began to look for Lu Kuan's flaws. Finally, When Lu Kuan dodged one of his moves, he revealed a flaw. Wang Erda took the opportunity to quickly hit Lu Kuan's chest with a palm strike. This palm strike was fast, but it didn't have much inner strength. It could only slightly injure Lu Kuan. After that, Lu Kuan's moves began to slow down. Wang Erda was delighted. He had already seen through these moves. After slowing down, it was easier to find a way to break them. He hit Lu Kuan's right shoulder again. Wang Erda saw Lu Kuan's mouth begin to bleed. He had suffered internal injuries, so he relaxed. After Lu Kuan revealed a flaw, his following moves were somewhat different. Although his fist techniques were about the same, his footwork began to revolve around him. Wang Erda thought that Lu Kuan had changed in order to defend, so he didn't pay much attention to it. In the end, Lu Kuan was hit 5 times. Just as Wang Erda was considering whether or not to leave him alive, Lu Kuan's expression changed. He sent a straight punch toward Wang Erda's chest. This move was several times faster than before. He didn't look like he was seriously injured at all. Wang Erda only had time to move his body slightly, but he was still hit in the chest. After this punch connected, Wang Erda's shirt exploded. He fell to the ground with an expression of disbelief. It turned out that Lu Kuan noticed that his opponent was abnormally vigilant and didn't dare to cross fists with him, so he used Prairie Fire. First, it could paralyze his opponent, and second, it could explode with greater strength and speed. Lu Kuan was now proficient in using this move. Not only could he circulate and store most of his opponent's internal energy, but he could also use the Vajra esoteric art to control most of his muscles. He could also store attacks from other parts of his body. When he was fighting with Wang Erda, Lu Kuan deliberately revealed a flaw and secretly stored his strength. Finally, he combined part of Wang Erda's internal energy and his own fist to kill Wang Erda. After dealing with Wang Erda, Lu Kuan stood still. When he circulated Wang Erda's internal energy in his body, his muscles still suffered some damage. He used the Vajra esoteric arts, first level frequency, and the iron shell art to alleviate the damage. Lu Kuan felt some changes in his body. When he was using Prairie Fire, it had circulated to a few strands of muscles that he hadn't mastered yet. Those parts of his body started to feel a little. Lu Kuan quickly began to practice the Yuan exploding fist in the courtyard. Lu Kuan repeatedly used a few fist moves, his body constantly moving around the courtyard. Every move he made seemed to be restraining his strength and not releasing it. Finally, he punched toward a thick tree in the courtyard. This tree looked normal on the outside, but when Lu Kuan lightly touched it, it fell down. Its insides had already been smashed into powder. Not bad. Under this stimulation, I finally reached the first level. When I make a move, the essence explosive fist strength can already circulate throughout my body without any hindrance. After that, I only need to let the muscles in the deeper layers of my body contract according to a few frequencies to enter the second level. After the tree fell down, it smashed onto Wang Erda's corpse. A piece of parchment was revealed from his chest. Lu Kuan felt that it was a little familiar. When he took it out, he realized that it was exactly the same as the parchment from the essence explosive fist. Woo! An alarm sounded from outside the stronghold. Oh no! Senior Gua hasn't come in yet. When Lu Kuan heard these sounds, he put away the parchment. He immediately ran towards the entrance of the stronghold. The sky was dark, and Lu Kuan was wearing clothes that reeked of alcohol. He was no different from the people in the stronghold. Moreover, Lu Kuan had killed many people here, so there weren't many people who rushed to the entrance. Lu Kuan rushed to the entrance of the stronghold. When he saw that there were only a few people holding weapons behind the door, he shouted to them, "The Great Master is here! The Great Master is here!" While they were in a daze, he quickly snatched one of their weapons. After he mastered the Vajra esoteric art, the true power of the essence explosive fist was slowly revealed. His strength circulated throughout his body, and he could explode at any time under his feet. His speed was much faster than before. The bandits were killed before they could even realize it. Lu Kuan opened the stronghold door and saw Senior was scurrying out from behind a tree. When Guo Buatao saw the bandits lying on the ground behind the door, he relaxed and said to Lu Kuan, "I didn't expect that we would be discovered by one of the several sentries along the way. I was afraid that Junior Brother would have a hard time opening the stronghold door." Junior Brother, you're injured? Senior saw that Lu Kuan's mouth was bleeding. "I suffered some minor injuries when I fought with Wang Erda, but I'm fine now. I killed Wang Erda. Let's go deal with the remaining people in the Blackwind stronghold first. Then, we'll meet at Wang Erda's courtyard." Haha, I didn't expect Junior Brother to be so powerful. All right, let's split up. Guo Buatao noticed that Lu Kuan's voice was full of energy, and his body even emitted a bit of killing intent. He was secretly shocked. After Lu Kuan and Guo Buatao swept through the entire stronghold, they met at Wang Erda's place. They found a certain amount of money and some ordinary martial arts manuals in the house. The two of them split the money, and the martial arts manuals were handed over to the sect. This was a rule that everyone tacitly agreed upon. Looking at Wang Erda's corpse, Lu Kuan lamented. They trusted the sentries outside too much. Most of them were drinking and having fun. They didn't expect that I would be able to come up from the cliff behind them and cause them to be completely wiped out. These bandits underestimated our Iron Fist school too much. However, Junior Brother's Yuan Exploding Fist is indeed shockingly powerful, just as the sect master said. All right, Junior Brother, why didn't I find stolen goods? Logically speaking, they shouldn't have been sold off so quickly. You came early. Did you find anything? Lu Kuan finally remembered the 5 Venoms disciple and told Guo Buatao what he eavesdropped on. If Senior Brother didn't mention it, I would have almost forgotten. There's still someone here. Let's go over. This is what happened. No wonder Blackwind Stronghold was able to sell off our goods. So it turns out that 5 Venoms has merchants under their control in Huayuan City. This time, Junior Brother, you have truly performed a great service. Not only did you deal with Blackwind Stronghold alone, you even captured the 5 Venoms disciple who was hiding behind them. Chapter 23. In the hall of the Iron Fist School, Sect Leader Zhao and Elder Yu were drinking tea and talking about some matters. Sect Leader, I heard that Junior Brother Mo and Junior Sister you sent a letter yesterday. Is 5 Venoms officially attacking our territory? Elder Yu had a worried expression. When Sect Leader Zhao heard Elder Yu's worry, he shook his head and said, they shouldn't be. Besides, Junior Brother and the others have already arranged a path of retreat. The letter this time is to invite Junior Brother Yu to hide in North Moon Town. If 5 Venoms really attacks, the place they will retreat to is North Moon Town. With Junior Brother Yu's support, even if they send out super experts, the 3 of you can still put up a fight. Elder Yu nodded. Then I will depart today. If I delay, there might be changes. However, Sect Leader, is Grand Elder really not going to take action? If he takes action, how can 5 Venoms be so arrogant? Sect Leader Zhao sighed. The Grand Elder once said that unless someone attacked the sect, he would not make a move. Without Grand Elder summons, I cannot take the initiative to go and greet him. But don't worry, Grand Elder promised me that he will teach the disciples at the 3rd layer of the Vajra arts, so he will be in the school for at least 4 years. Then doesn't that mean that the sooner someone enters the 3rd layer, the sooner they can greet Grand Elder? That's right, but Junior Brother, you haven't been able to make any progress in the 2nd layer for so many years. Those new disciples are still pacing around the 1st layer. Lu Kuan, who improved the fastest, still hasn't reached greater mastery of the 1st layer. Otherwise, with the power of our ice and fire chi, we could help him break through to the 2nd layer. At this moment, a guard walked in. Sect Leader, Senior Brother Gua, and Senior Brother Lu have captured a 5 Venoms inner disciple at Blackwind Stronghold. He is outside seeking an audience. Sect Leader Zhao smiled and said to Elder Yu, just as we were talking about Lu Kuan, he came. Looks like they have gained something. Let them in. Lu Kuan and Guo Buatao walked into the hall with a person whose face was filled with fear. They bowed to the Sect Leader and Elder Yu. Lu Kuan, Guo Buatao, greet Sect Leader Elder Yu. I asked you to fight against Blackwind Mountain, but I didn't expect that you would capture a 5 Venoms disciple. Guobuotao, tell me what happened. Guobuotao pointed at Lu Kuan. This time, it was all thanks to Lu Shidi's intelligence and courage that we were able to easily deal with the Black Wind Stockade. Let Lu Shidi talk to the sect leader. Lu Kuan, tell me what happened. There was a hint of surprise in the sect master's eyes. After all, Guobuotao's overall strength was higher than Lu Kuan's. Yes, sect master. Then Lu Kuan told him about how he ambushed the robbers, flipped over the cliff with his bare hands, ambushed the people from Black Wind Mountain while they were drunk, and how he eavesdropped on the conversation between the bandit master and 5 Venoms. I see. That Guzi you captured just now doesn't know much. Looks like we'll have to interrogate this 5 Venoms disciple properly. Guobuotao, I'll leave the interrogation to you. You must find out why they're colluding with the Blackwind stronghold and what they're plotting. You must also find out who their merchants are in Huayuan City. Take this person with you and leave first. Lu Kuan, you stay behind. After Guobuotao left with his people, the sect master asked, Lu Kuan, you've done a good job in this mission. However, I've asked you to stay behind because I want to ask you something else. I wonder what sect master wants to ask. Lu Kuan, have you mastered the first stage of your Vajra esoteric art? Elder, you have been watching Lu Kuan ever since he came in. At this moment, he suddenly interrupted and asked, I can't hide it from Elder Yu. I was lucky enough to break through after fighting with Wang Erda. Lu Kuan didn't plan to hide it. Sect Master Zhao was overjoyed when he heard this. Good. I also want to ask about your Vajra esoteric art. Today, Elder Yu and I are in the sect. We can use our ice and fire inner force to help you break through. The sooner you break through, the more beneficial it will be to the sect. As expected, I didn't feel wrong. Senior brother sect master, let's find a quiet room. With Lu Kuan's talent, he will definitely advance by leaps and bounds after entering the second stage. Elder Yu and sect master Zhao seemed to be very excited. Lu Kuan felt that it was very strange. Why were the sect master and Elder Yu even happier than him? With doubts in his heart, he was brought to a training room. Lu Kuan, the sect is currently facing a relatively large danger. If you can reach the third stage as soon as possible, we can go and pay a visit to the Grand Elder and ask him to help us deal with the threat of the 5 Poison sect. Even if he doesn't help, he can teach you to successfully reach the 5th stage. Our sect will have nothing to worry about. Sect Master Zhao saw Lu Kuan's expression. How could he not know what he was thinking? Sect Master, Lu Kuan, will definitely do my best to break through. First, circulate the chants of the first stage and adjust the frequency of the muscles in the deeper layers of your body. See which parts can't contract at the same time. Elder Yu nodded and let Lu Kuan begin. Lu Kuan closed his eyes and adjusted. After 15 minutes, he said, there are a total of 9 muscles. They're always a beat slower than the other parts. They can't be unified. Then he pointed out the locations of these muscles. Good, Sect Master, and I will help you feel it from the first part. My scorching hot inner force can make your muscles expand. Sect Master's icy cold inner force can make your muscles contract. Now, Sect Master and I will separately use our ice and fire inner force on the first part. You continue to circulate the chants. First, let the first part be unified. After this part is done, nod your head. I understand, Elder Yu. Lu Kuan closed his eyes and began to meditate. Elder Yu and Sect Master Zhao each extended a finger and pressed it against a part of Lu Kuan's back. Lu Kuan immediately felt 2 different types of power alternately acting on his body, slowly adjusting the muscles in the deeper layers of his body to match. After a long time, with the help of the ice and fire inner force, this part was already unified with the whole body. Seeing Lu Kuan nod his head, the 2 of them withdrew their power. We won't help you. Circulate the chants and try this part again. Lu Kuan closed his eyes and adjusted. Not long after, he opened his eyes. It really works. It really works. Good. Continue to the next part. Sect Master and Elder, don't you need a rest? Looking at the sweat on their heads, Lu Kuan knew that they were not relaxed either. You have to do it in one go. Otherwise, after too long, this part of your body will return to its original state. There's no need to say anymore. Hurry up and go to the next part. In the next half a day, Lu Kuan, with their help, cultivated with all his strength. After finishing at the last part, Lu Kuan circulated the Vajra art's chants and adjusted the muscles in the deeper layers of his body to contract at the same frequency. Suddenly, a strange feeling was produced, as if all the muscles in his body had become alive. At this time, all the muscles were as freely controlled as his own hands. Those 9 muscles were also truly under his control. No wonder he had to do it in one go. Lu Kuan, thank you, Sect Master and Elder Yu, for helping me break through. Lu Kuan looked at Elder Yu's pale face and sweaty forehead. The Sect Master's complexion was also very poor. It could be seen that the two of them had really spent a lot of energy to help him break through. Good, you finally reached the 2nd level. If you really want to thank us, strive to reach the 3rd level as soon as possible. You can go back. In the following days, stay in the sect and cultivate well. After the 2nd level, it will be the same as internal force. Chapter 24. Sect leader Zhao saw Elder Yu's pale face and said, Junior Yu, you've used up a lot of energy today. You should leave tomorrow. Rest well tonight. Compared to the rise and fall of the sect, my energy consumption is nothing. Fortunately, Lu Kuan's talent in the Vajra arts is excellent. It's too early to make a conclusion. Just by looking at Junior Yu, I can tell that the 2nd layer is extremely difficult to break through. Sigh. I'm a dual cultivator. The 2nd layer consumes too much energy. Lu Kuan is different. He specializes in this art and is born with great strength. He can bring out the true power of the Origin Explosive Fist. His battle strength is much higher than Senior Zhang's at the same level. Elder Yu shook his head. No matter what, we need time. After Junior Yu goes to North Moon Town, you must be careful. If you really can't do it, retreat to Huayuan City. It's okay to lose a few towns there. It'll take at least 1 or 2 years for the 5 Venoms sect to completely control the industries there. Understood, sect leader. I'll leave tomorrow. After saying that, Elder Yu went back to prepare. Wait. Remember to let the people with the highest progress in the Vajra arts come back first and ask Lu Kuan for guidance. Maybe there will be people who will continue to break through. Yes, sect leader. Lu Kuan went back to his residence and fell asleep. In order to break through, he had spent almost half a day controlling his muscles. He had almost exhausted his energy. He slept until noon of the next day. After waking up, Lu Kuan sat in his stone house and began to feel the difference in his body. He followed the Origin Explosive Fist's method of exerting force and mobilized all his muscles. He found that he could actually use the Origin Explosive Fist force while sitting cross-legged. Wherever his mind was, the force would be there. Right now, as long as he wanted to exert force, his hands, feet, shoulders, knees, and elbows could all explode with the power of the Origin Explosive Fist. This greatly increased his battle strength. He could almost be counted as one of the best among the 2nd-rate experts. If he fought with Wang Erda now, Lu Kuan was confident that he could subdue him in 3 moves. Thinking of Wang Erda, Lu Kuan took out the sheepskin. He came back with Guobuotao 2 days ago, so he couldn't check it on the way. Written on the sheepskin was a palm technique called splitting the heavens palm, as well as its corresponding internal strength. Presumably, Wang Erda was using this martial art. Lu Kuan was a pure cultivator, so this cultivation technique was useless to him. What he cared about was the parchment itself. It was of the same color and thickness as the parchment of the Essence Exploding Fist. This parchment was just slightly bigger. It was very likely that there was a cultivation technique related to the Vajra mantra hidden inside. He would try it out at night when the red mark flared up. Lu Kuan then began to cultivate the 2nd stage of the Vajra esoteric art. The 2nd stage was the true beginning of the Vajra esoteric art. The 2nd level required one's muscles to adjust their frequency according to the chants in the cultivation technique. After practicing for a period of time, the aura of life would appear in one's muscles. This aura of life would then circulate throughout the body until it disappeared. This was the process of the aura of life, strengthening one's muscles and improving one's physique. Lu Kuan followed the incantation for the second level. He calmed himself down and began to move his muscles. However, he did not feel any signs of life even until night fell. It's so difficult to cultivate. I actually didn't feel anything after cultivating for a day. Let's check the sheepskin first. Now, every night, regardless of whether he slept or not, the red mark and purple light would flicker for 6 hours. When it began to flicker, Lu Kuan brought the sheepskin to his chest. After a while, it indeed changed, and words appeared on the back. Vajra esoteric art. Looking at the words that appeared on it, Lu Kuan was shocked. He then looked at it with rapt attention. There were thousands of words on it. It was the Vajra esoteric art, and it was from the 1st to the 7th level. The Iron Fist School gave them the first 3 levels of the cultivation technique, which were exactly the same as the first 3 levels on the sheepskin. He had to reach the 3rd level before he could continue to cultivate the next few levels with the Supreme Elder. He didn't expect to obtain the 7th level of the cultivation technique now. He was destined to cultivate the Primordial Fire Waterfall Fist that he had obtained before. The 7th level is still quite far from me. I'll memorize all 7 levels first and cultivate to the 3rd level first. Lu Kuan memorized the complete version of the Vajra esoteric art. The 2nd level to the 7th level was constantly strengthening the body. Just in terms of strength, reaching the 3rd level would give one 1,000 gene of strength. After that, every level would increase by 500 gene. Every level would also increase one's defense, recovery ability, and so on. Compared to ordinary martial arts experts, the 3rd level strength was equivalent to a first-rate expert, while the 4th level strength could compete with a first-rate expert. Moreover, Lu Kuan benefited from the red mark and purple light. He already had 1,000 gene of strength. If he could cultivate to the 7th level, it would definitely be far more than 3,000 gene. For the next few days, Lu Kuan cultivated the 2nd level during the day and recited the Vajra esoteric art at night. Finally, on the 3rd day, Lu Kuan felt a trace of cool aura appear in his muscles. According to the 2nd level's incantation, he began to mobilize this trace of life aura. It slowly circulated in his body, and after only 1 cycle, the life aura disappeared. According to the cultivation technique's description, the first time the life aura appeared, it would be used up very quickly. As one cultivated for a long time, the life aura would increase, and the speed at which it was generated would also increase. Lu Kuan combined his own situation and roughly understood why Elder Yu is always on the 2nd level. Elder Yu mainly cultivates his internal energy and has little time to cultivate the Vajra esoteric art. This way, there will only be a little bit of life aura every time, and the progress will definitely be slow. If I cultivate the 2nd level like this, the progress will be very slow. Is it possible to find a special method to cultivate the 1st level? Lu Kuan wasn't satisfied with his current speed and tried to find a new method. While he was thinking hard, he saw the sheepskin from the corner of his eye, and his heart skipped a beat. How could I forget about the Essence Exploding Fist? The Essence Fire Waterfall Fist said that the Essence Exploding Fist is used to assist the first 2 levels. It must be useful for the 2nd level as well. When I circulate the Essence Exploding Fist, I can't produce life aura. Could it be that I have to circulate the Essence Exploding Fist force and life aura? When he thought of this, Lu Kuan immediately sat cross-legged and circulated the Essence Exploding Fist force. After circulating it for half a day, there were no changes. There's no reaction. The life aura is the most crucial part of the 2nd level. I'll try again when the life aura comes out. On the 6th day, when Lu Kuan cultivated the life aura, he didn't circulate the life aura. Instead, he first circulated the Essence Exploding Fist force, allowing the Essence Exploding Fist force to follow the path of the life aura. After 1 cycle, the life aura began to decrease. After 2 cycles, the life aura disappeared. However, Lu Kuan didn't notice any changes. He was disappointed and casually struck the force forward. Bang! A small hole appeared in the stone house's wall 5 feet in front of him. If one looked carefully, they would discover that the original stone had been smashed into powder. Chapter 25. Looks like after entering the second realm, the origin explosion fist that absorbed the breath of life is the true origin explosion fist. From now on, I'll call it origin explosion force. Lu Kuan thought about it for a moment and knew how this power came about. However, he could not use this move as a normal move. The breath of life was too little, and it was not enough for him to squander it in battle. Lu Shitty, are you tearing down the house? A voice came from the broken stone wall, and Guobuetao's normal face appeared in the hole. I was practicing my fist technique. I made a mistake. Lu Kuan's expression was a little awkward. Looks like the sect leader was telling the truth when he said that you entered the second realm of Vajra art. This is all thanks to the sect leader and Elder Yu. With the help of their ice and fire chi, I was lucky enough to break through. Guobuetao heard the commotion from afar and came over. When he was talking to Lu Kuan, he had been carefully observing the broken hole, and his face was filled with shock. Junior brother, you were able to punch a hole in such a thick stone wall and even turn the stone in the middle into powder. Your strength is far above mine. Looks like I'll have to call you Senior Brother Lu. Lu Kuan was stunned when he heard this. Senior Brother Gua, how could I dare? After all, you were the one who entered the sect first. I just entered the sect not long ago. How could I bear the title of Senior Brother? Guobuetao said very seriously, our sect determines how senior and junior brothers are addressed based on the internal sect tournament. Senior Brother Lu is now stronger than me, so I'm willing to call you that. Senior Brother, you don't have to refuse. When Lu Kuan saw Guobuetao's expression, he could only agree. All right, Senior Brother Gua. No, Junior Brother Gua. By the way, have you finished interrogating that 5 Venoms disciple? Yes. Over the past few days, we've dragged out all the 5 Venoms merchants in the city and vented our anger. We also found out that the next mission they gave to Black Wind Mountain was to wantonly capture the family members of the sect members in the small town behind the sect so that we wouldn't attack them in the future. Senior Brother, you destroyed all of that, or else the consequences would be unimaginable. I believe that once 5 Venoms knew about this, they would restrain themselves a little. How vicious. You want to use this move? When Lu Kuan heard this, he was shocked. 5 Venoms was indeed powerful. If they used this move, the strength of the Iron Fist school disciples would be reduced by at least half. Guobuetao was also scared. His parents were also in the town behind him. Junior Brother Gua, are you going to train the sect next? Lu Kuan saw that Guobuetao was dressed simply and did not look like he was going out. The sect master has instructed that all the disciples who are cultivating the Vajra arts will return here and ask Senior Brother Lu for guidance on some difficult questions. They will cultivate wholeheartedly and strive to improve the Vajra arts. Lu Kuan had been in the Iron Fist school for a long time. He had discovered that Guobuetao was kind to his fellow apprentices and cruel to his enemies. He was not jealous of Guobuetao's speed of improvement and was not greedy for credit. Thus, he decided to help Guobuetao practice the Vajra mantra. Junior Brother Gua, how is your cultivation of the first layer of the Vajra scripture going? When Guobuetao heard Lu Kuan's question, he looked a little ashamed. I'm ashamed to say this. In the past year, Junior Brother has only completed most of the deep layer muscles. I'm still some distance away from mastering it. Then what areas are Junior Brother lacking? Can you tell me about them? If we talk about them, it might be very effective. After that, Guobuetao began to describe his current progress and bottlenecks to Lu Kuan, as well as the difficulties he had encountered. After listening to Guobuetao's description, Lu Kuan first shared some of his experiences with Guobuetao. Then he taught Guobuetao all kinds of static training movements. Guobuetao practiced the cross-legged handstand, the Russian posture, the flag raising, and so on. Seeing these exquisite static movements that have been passed down for thousands of years on Earth, Guobuotao was abnormally shocked. After Guobuotao finished learning with a numb expression, Lu Kuan said, "I'll have to trouble junior brother to teach these movements to the other disciples when they return. I've just entered the second layer, so I'll be practicing for a long time. I won't be able to stay in the training square as often as before. However, I'll come out every once in a while to guide these movements." Lu Kuan wanted to form his own power within the sect. He was also thinking about Zhang Yang's matter. From his current perspective, the only people in the sect who had the strength to harm Zhang Yang were the Grand Elder, the sect leader, and the 3 Great Elders. His own martial arts strength was currently slightly lacking. Currently, in the small group learning the Vajra scripture, there were 7 second-rate disciples and 10 third-rate disciples. After Lu Kuan helped them enter the second layer, their strength would still increase. This was a very large force. Many thanks, Senior Brother Lu. With these, I believe that everyone's progress in the first layer will be much faster. At this time, Guobuotao said with unusual sincerity, "Junior brother, I'll find someone to repair the house first." Looking at Guobuotao's expression, Lu Kuan was a little puzzled by this junior brother with respect. However, he didn't say anything and walked away. Guobuotao stared blankly at Lu Kuan's back and muttered to himself, "He's willing to teach this kind of cultivation secret technique. He's definitely worthy of being called senior brother." The next day, Lu Kuan continued to cultivate. Because the breath of life had just appeared, he focused on tempering his mind. When Lu Kuan got into a good posture and began to cultivate, a large breath of life suddenly emerged from his body. It was a wave, not a trace. What's going on? How could the breath of life appear today? And it's such a large one. No matter how much of a genius I am, it's impossible for me to improve so quickly. Lu Kuan opened his eyes with a face full of shock. However, now was not the time to be puzzled. Lu Kuan seized this opportunity and quickly began to circulate the breath of life to strengthen his body. This large breath of life was completely different from the previous one. It circulated 25 times before disappearing. Lu Kuan could clearly feel his body strengthening as it circulated. By the time Lu Kuan opened his eyes, more than half a day had passed. This time, Lu Kuan's body was covered in black impurities. It was clear that the effect was very obvious. Lu Kuan first went to wash his body and eat something. He also tested the strength of the Yuan exploding fist in the square. He could clearly feel the increase in strength. Then, Lu Kuan went back to cultivate with a face full of excitement. Strangely, this time, there was not a trace of breath of life. Lu Kuan was puzzled. Later, for several days, his body returned to its original state. Every 3 days, there would be a trace of breath of life. Lu Kuan's excitement gradually faded. 10 days later, on the 11th day, a large breath of life began to appear. Lu Kuan once again enjoyed the pleasure of his body being cleansed. After more than a month, Lu Kuan finally figured out a pattern. Every 10 days, there would be a breath of life eruption. Normally, it would be at the same speed as before. Lu Kuan thought about it and could only attribute it to the red mark on his chest. After his body absorbed part of the red mark, it gradually improved his constitution. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.